The grim entrance to the Silver Dragon dungeon appears before us, guarded by 2 guards in lats. Dainty-heeled shoes, shrouded in a blue glow, tread the stone floor. One of the guards, noticing the approaching figure, exclaims, "Her Majesty!" A woman with long silver hair stands back and orders the guards away, wanting to speak to the captive alone. The Queen of the Silver Dragons, Rosweisa, appears in all her splendor and power. Rosweis addresses the chained hero, sneeringly wondering what it's like for him to be a prisoner of her clan. The captive, a young man with signs of beatings, says with a defiant look in his eyes, "Kill me!" A sly smirk appears on the Queen's face as she hears his request for a quick death. She approaches him, touching his chin, and notices that he is handsome and determined, but he will not die easily. A sharp blow lands on the captive's face, and the Queen adds that a few more scars will make his appearance perfect. The captive groans in pain, blood streaming down his face. He pleads with the Queen to stop the humiliation and act faster, whether it be murder or dismemberment. Rosweisa, licking the perdition with his blood, offers him to join the Silver Dragon clan, alluding to his unjust captivity. With a challenge in his gaze and a barely perceptible chuckle, the captive questions whether she is worthy of his service. The Queen's eye flashes anger at the impertinent question. The enraged Rosweisa unleashes a powerful blow on him, knocking him back and breaking his chains. In a puff of dust, the captive coughs out, struggling to recover from the attack. The Queen steps her foot on his chest, angered by his insolence. She contemptuously asks Leon Cosmod if he still thinks he's a great hero who dreams of destroying the Dragon Clan. With a cold chuckle, Rosweisa declares that he is destined to die here, calling him an ignorant loser. Pressed against the Queen's foot, Leon clenched his teeth as he listened to her words that his descendants could enjoy wealth and glory with him. Rosweisa remarks with a chuckle that this is an interesting hypothesis, but unfortunately he has no successor, so such a day will not come for him. With a challenge in his voice, Leon objected, "Rosweisa, don't underestimate people." Suddenly, the Queen's tail, enveloped in radiance, wraps around Leon's neck. She lifts him into the air with her tail, noting his stubbornness. Leon gasped, his hands desperately trying to loosen his grip on his tail. Struggling to squeeze out the words, he utters, "Her Majesty." Rosweisa, with a mocking smile, wonders if he's finally ready to beg for mercy. Gasping, Leon states that she made 2 mistakes from the beginning. The Queen looks surprised, uttering, "Huh?" as Leon continues, saying that her first mistake was to be alone with the most powerful and trained dragon slayer. Leon, still held by her tail, continues, saying that her second mistake was that she should have never. With eyes blazing red, he shouts out, "Wait, taste my blood!" Rosweisa's eyes widen with horror as she realizes she's been trapped under the blood curse. Leon breaks the grip of his tail with effort, freeing himself from choking. The Queen jerks back, her tail slackening, and Leon lands on his feet. A blush floods Rosweisa's face, and she feels an unbearable heat engulf her body. She sinks to her knees, grabbing herself and puzzled as to why her body is reacting this way. With a confused and flushed face, the Queen asks herself what the hell is going on. Leon, standing over her, declares that very soon she will suffer a lifetime of pain brought to her soul. A close-up of Rosweisa's face is shown, drenched in paint, with a tear running down her cheek as she hears him curse. Suddenly, Rosweisa lunges at Leon, catching him off guard. The Queen presses Leon against the wall, her eyes burning with the red fire of passion. Leon, completely confused, questions, What's going on?" Rosweisa breathes heavily, her face flooded with a blush, and Leon realizes, this situation, is she horny? Giving in to the effects of the curse, the Queen kisses Leon, her hand gently touching his cheek. A close-up of Leon's eye reflects his amazement, while his cheek shows the marks of her touch. An hour later, shoes, boots, pieces of clothing, and broken chains were scattered on the floor. Rosweisa's eyes still lit up red, she looks on with a thoughtful expression. Covering her bare breasts, the Queen begins to speak. She turns around abruptly, her face contorted with anger as she turns to Leon. "You..." With fury in her voice, covering her nakedness, the Queen asks Leon, "What did you do to me?" Leon calmly explains the essence of the blood curse, a forbidden technique that creates a soul bond through his blood and condemns her to eternal torment after his death. Rosweisa, not believing his ears, screams, "Bullshit! If this spell works after you die, what just happened is this..." With a note of embarrassment, Leon admits that it was an accident, a side effect he didn't expect, thinking the curse would only manifest itself with the pain of his death. Blushing and clenching her fists, the Queen orders him in a rage, "Shut up!" With a slight chuckle, Leon continues, reminding her, "But, as far as I know, you dragons follow the rule of monogamy, right?" The realization of the consequences is reflected on Rosweisa's face as Leon explains that once he's dead, she won't be able to find a new partner, leave offspring, or explain to the clan what happened, and she only squeezes out, "You." Leon, echoing her recent words with a sneer, reminds her that she too will now have no successor, no heir to the dragon family. A flash of purple energy surrounds the queen's hand as she, unable to contain her anger, shouts out, "You bastard!" Raising a hand shrouded in a blue glow, Leon with a fatalistic chuckle suggests she doesn't bother, stating that she'll die soon enough as it is. The split faces reflect mutual pain as the woman utters a curse that condemns the man to a life of hatred and misery. The white-haired woman, full of determination, adjusts her outfit, mulling over what she said. She approaches the scarred man, accusing him of wretched revenge and questioning his desire to die. With an expression of disbelief on her face, the woman exclaims at the unexpected cheapness of what is happening, surrounded by glowering. A glowing blue symbol appears on the chest of a man with his eyes closed, accepting his fate. Leon Cosmod, once a legendary hero, defeater of dragons, rests peacefully in bed, immersed in memories or sleep. At the young age of 5, he fearlessly defended a girl from a ferocious dog, which attracted the attention of a great dragon slayer who took him on as an apprentice. 10-year-old Leon gazes up at the majestic building of the Imperial Academy of Dragon Slayers, where he entered and graduated with honors at a record young age. As a 15-year-old young man, he was already fighting on the battlefield, slaying dragons and reclaiming territory for the Empire. Known as the strongest hero and last hope of the Empire, Leon stands on a defeated dragon, representing victory in the war. 2 years after his capture, Leon opens his eyes, his gaze clouded with memories of the past. Abruptly awakening, he shrieks, sitting up in bed. Gasping and looking around, Leon tries to realize where he is. He finds himself in a lavishly furnished, light-filled spoogibbon. A little girl with dark hair and big blue eyes peeks through the ajar door. Curiously peeking out from behind the door, the girl cheerfully informs, "Hey, you're awake!" Leon, blushing with mortification, exclaims, "What a cutie!" Clutching his head, he tries to make sense of what has happened, assuming that his great deeds have led him to paradise and now he has met her. Pointing to the girl, he excitedly declares her to be a legendary angel, while she perplexedly asks what an angel is. Smiling, Leon addresses the little girl affectionately, wondering about her name. With shining eyes, the girl introduces herself. "Muen." Leon repeats her name with a smile, finding it beautiful, but at the same time wondering about the strange black and white color of the angel's hair. Moen explains that her name means moon, as her mother said, and Leon asks in surprise if angels have mothers. Introducing himself, Leon says his name is Leon Cosmod, to which the girl joyfully exclaims that she knows Leon means lion. A surprised Leon asks who told her that, and Moen replies that her mom said so. Disbelief is reflected on Leon's face, and he wonders with bated breath who her mother is. The girl calls out the name Rosweise with a smile, and Leon freezes as if struck by thunder. A shocked Leon, pointing to himself, mutters, "Your mother Rosswise. Then while Moen looks at him questioningly. With a beaming smile, Moen exclaims, "You're a father." Leon's face contorts with shock and horror as the full depth of this revelation comes to him. In utter confusion, Leon realizes that Moen is his and Rosweise's daughter, while the girl calls out, "Ah, Mama!" Leon's gaze is full of shock and disbelief at the sight of the approaching figure. Rosweise appears and Moen joyfully informs her, "Mommy, Daddy's awake," to which the queen replies, "Yes, I know." Leon and Rosweise's faces are separated, and she utters, "You're finally awake, Leon." Moen says excitedly that Mommy must be happy that Daddy is awake, since she visited him every day. Rosweise discreetly confirms his daughter's words, and Leon inwardly exclaims, "Only a ghost would believe it." The queen asks Moen to go and play as she needs to talk to her father, and the girl happily agrees. Leon hesitantly asks if Moen is really his daughter, to which Rosweise replies with a smirk, "Oh, who else could she be? She's our biological daughter." Rosweise's tail slams against the door with force as she utters, "You hate me." Leon, backing away, questions Rosweise as to why she gave birth to the child and why she saved him. The girl with silver hair and scarlet eyes, smiling slightly, reminds her of the 2-year dream and the fact that she's not going to forgive the past. The dark-haired young man in the white shirt exclaims angrily, denying his desire and saying that their coexistence is impossible. Their gazes meet closely. He confirms that touching her is torture while she smiles slyly. A lavender-colored scaly tail wraps around the leg of a young man in black pants. The young man finds himself toppled over on the bed, shrieking in surprise, and a female figure looms over him. The girl with the tail ends up on top, pinning the young man to the bed, who anxiously inquires about her intentions. A hand clutches and tears the fabric of the shirt on the young man's chest with force, exposing the skin. Rosweise, that's the girl's name, with a magical glow in her hand, announces her intention to carve her dragon pattern on him while he begs her to stop. A glowing magical symbol approaches his body, foreshadowing that this will be his shame and make him her eternal prisoner. With a triumphant smile, Rosweise wonders who people will think he is when they see the dragon tattoo. A hero who killed a dragon, or a traitor who submitted to the dragon clan. Leon, feeling the pain of the pattern being inflicted, questions why she would go so far. Rosweise, leaning over him, asks if he doesn't understand and explains that the concept of revenge in dragons is difficult for humans. With an expression of superiority, Rosweise declares that she wants him to live in this shame and be humiliated by her for the rest of his life, for their revenge combines paranoia, extremity, and the incomprehensible to humans. Leon's face contorts with mixed feelings as the purple pattern continues to manifest on his chest. Rosweise, holding it up, announces, "So let us begin," and explains that it is her great honor to make Leon, the greatest dragon slayer, her husband, slave, and closest partner, which is her revenge as a dragon. The majestic silver dragon castle appears before us, shining under a clear sky. Two maids walking down the corridor whisper that the queen is in a good mood today, and one of them suggests that it is because of her husband's awakening. Leon, standing against the wall, ponders with indignation that this dragoness has declared him her husband and how horrible she is. Rosweise, in a passionate outburst, demands that Leon move faster, laughing while he complains that she has tormented him all day and night and his lower back is nearly broken. With determination in his gaze and a clenched fist, Leon swears that he will never stay here and become her plaything. 4 dragon guards in armor guard the arched passageway in the castle in the light of day. Leon, peering out from behind a stone wall, notes that the side door is guarded by 4 dragons and there is no way out. Leaning against the wall, Leon ponders why there are so few guards in Silver Dragon Castle today, finding the atmosphere quiet and strange compared to his visit 2 years ago. A close-up of Leon's face expresses surprise as he utters, "Ah?" Finding a hole hidden in the grass, Leon is puzzled as to where it came from. Looking into the dark abyss, he wonders if it's a trap. Grappling with his head, Leon decides he still needs to leave, even if it's a trap, and he'll force his way out. As he prepares to climb down the hole, he mentally says goodbye to his twisted dragon mother, adding that cutie Moen can stay with her for now. Moen, pointing into the distance, happily shouts to her mother that Daddy is digging a dog hole and it's so cool. Rosweise, lounging in a bikini on a chaise lounge, nonchalantly replies to Moen that she's seen it and thinks it's pretty awesome. Moen curiously asks when Mommy will go and fish Daddy back out. Rosweise gently corrects her daughter, saying that the word fished in relation to her father sounds very rude. The girl is perplexed, wondering what word she should use then. With a sly smile, the queen offers the option of catching it back. After a while, Leon makes his way through the dense thickets. By traversing the mountains, he believes it will be possible to see the boundaries of the human lands. He hopes that by running this far, the dragoness won't be able to catch up to him. Suddenly, Leon's face contorts with surprise and alarm. Rosweise appears in the sky in his dragon form, blocking his path. Rosweise's huge dragon head looms over Leon, and she notices that he's not a bad runner, while he exclaims in horror, "Ah, shit!" The dragon's huge scaly tail swooped over Leon, casting a shadow. Rosweise, in her full dragon form, towers over Leon, mockingly wondering if he's having fun playing with her like this. Rosweise's dragon face draws closer, and she asks with satisfaction if his escape seems too smooth, hinting that she was the one who distracted the guards and left a loophole. With a determined expression, Leon admits that he knew of the trap, but had no choice, though he didn't expect it to catch up with him so quickly. Rosweise, looking down at Leon, questions what will happen if he returns to the humans with her mark on his chest, and whether he will be recognized as a dragon slayer. With defiance, Leon declares that he would rather start life as a normal person than endure her torture. With a snicker, Rosweise rebukes him for his ingratitude in dragon form, flapping his wings. Leon cries out, "Ah!" as Rosweise's huge dragon claws close around him. Carrying Leon away in her claws, Rosweise responds to his cries of, "Let go! Where are you dragging me, dragoness?" That since he's so eager to get back, she'll help him. 3 hours later, under the cover of night, the silhouette of a dragon with its prey approaches the border city of the Empire, heading towards a large tree. Leon lets out a loud scream, falling rapidly downward, his arm desperately reaching upward. Whizzing through the dense crown of a tree, his fall is accompanied by the crackle of breaking branches. He lands on his back in the middle of the forest thicket with a thud. Grasping his bruised head, Leon wrinkles his nose in pain. A close-up of his face expresses a sudden realization. Perched on the thick branch of a huge tree, he looks out over the sprawling nighttime city below. Puzzled, Leon questions whether this is really a human city. Rosweise appears in human form, confirming that this is the human empire. She asks if he feels like he can return to the human world just by stepping across, by seeing this long-abandoned city. With a sly smile, Rosweise declares that Leon can't go back, even though it seems like it's a short walk to the city. Leon stares forward in shock, purple light emanating from the dragon mark on his chest. Rosweise, standing back, explains what she forgot to mention. When one of the tag bearers desires intimacy, the dragon tag reacts, causing Leon to back off. As he approaches, she asks with a smirk if he feels the heat and overwhelming desire and wonders if he wants to be here. Looking at the nighttime city visible in the distance, Roswitha says she brought him here so he would realize the shame of being so close to his ancestral home. Clutching his chest, Leon asks defiantly if she thinks he'll lose his faith over this. He grabs her arm, vehemently declaring that he will wait patiently for his chance, and then he will avenge her doubly for all the humiliation. Roswitha looks at him with surprise and a slight blush, silently listening to his threat. With a sly smile and covered eyes, she utters, "Oh, okay." Drawing closer to his face, Roswitha says with defiance that she will wait for him, dead or alive. A huge tree towers against the night sky and moon, with the inscription, "Near the border city of the Empire." Roswitha, with a satisfied smile and hearts all around her, sits on Leon, who is lying on the ground below her. Turning to an exhausted Leon, the queen declares herself very pleased with his recent performance. Lying next to Leon and propping his head up with his hand, Roswitha grinningly offers to bring him here every month to visit his hometown. Leon, sitting up abruptly, exclaims angrily that she's a dragoness, hovering in the clouds and thinking only of ways to exhaust him, to which Roswitha chibi formally admits that she's been figured out. Surrounded by purple energy and spreading her wings, Roswitha tells Leon it's time to go, for their daughter is waiting at home. Leon calls out to her, "Wait!" and Roswitha turns around with a questioning expression. With a defiant look in his eyes, Leon declares that as a dragon slayer, he does not wish to be dragged like prey and will go himself. Roswitha explains that it takes her at least 3 hours to fly to Silver Dragon Castle, and it takes a human at least 10 days or half a month to walk, to which Leon objects, urging her not to underestimate human endurance. With an icy smile, the queen says she wants to see how long he lasts. After a while, a hand, breathing heavily, pushes the dense thicket apart. Leon, breathing heavily, makes his way through the night forest. Roswitha remarks that he must be unable to walk any longer, but Leon stubbornly denies fatigue. With a chuckle, the queen remarks that he only has a well-tempered tongue, causing his resentment to grow. Suddenly, both Leon and Roswitha are alerted, hearing something. In the distance, Leon spots a cavalry unit he identifies as the Dragon Killer Army. Hope flashes across Leon's face at the thought that these warriors might help him get rid of the dragoness. Roswitha's face contorts into a furious grimace that foreshadows danger. Leon realizes with horror that if he calls for help, Roswitha, whose eyes glow ominously, will not hesitate to kill the soldiers. One of the knights of the Dragon Killer Army, a man in lats, calls out to them, asking them to stop. The knight courteously wonders if Leon and Roswitha are lost, while Leon tries to discreetly make a sign. Leon, with a smile and a hand behind his head, replies to the knight that they are just out for a walk, mentally adding that he can't involve innocent people. The knight warns that this forest is not a good place to walk due to dangerous critters, and offers them a ride. Introducing himself, the knight informs him that his name is Walker, and he is the captain of the 47th Squadron of the Imperial Army of Dragon Slayers. Leon puts his hands out in front and thanks for the kindness, assuring them that they are trained in self-defense, mentally begging the knight to stay away. Walker takes a closer look at Leon and hesitantly asks if his face looks familiar, as if they've met somewhere. A close-up shows Roswitha's eyes flashing with anxiety and determination against a blue glow. Turning around, Leon sees Roswitha's hand being enveloped in purple energy and realizes that things are bad. Leon's hand sharply intercepts Roswitha's wrist, stopping her impending attack, the purple energy dissipating. Leon pulls Roswitha into his arms, telling Walker that he must be mistaken. Turning to Roswitha, Leon remarks with a smile that he has a plain face, and his wife often confuses it true, whereupon he whispers to her that he will go with her obediently, but asks her to help get rid of them first. Walker, seeing Leon hugging Roswitha, utters, Laughing, Walker says he won't get in the way of their love and waves his hand. Leon and Roswitha look after Walker's retreating squad. Roswitha icily asks Leon if he's hugged enough. She sharply pushes Leon away, who cries out, "Ah!" Roswitha, arms crossed, tells Leon that he did the smart thing by not asking for their help, but there's one thing. She states that he needs to understand his position. Even though they have children, it doesn't mean she's his wife, to which Leon replies that he never thought of being her husband. Roswitha turns away and says they should go, there's still a long way to go. Leon clenched his teeth in pain, grasping his chest where the dragon mark was. His hand reaches for the departing Roswitha, his palm showing abrasions. Leon suddenly falls face down into the bushes, causing Roswitha to gasp in surprise. Crossing his arms over his chest, Roswitha wonders with some disdain if he's fainted. Surrounded by a violet glow, she states what a fragile human being he is. She effortlessly lifts him up by the collar of his shirt. Turning into a dragon, Rosweiss tosses Leon into the air with his muzzle. Leon lands helplessly on the dragon's broad back. A silver dragon soars into the sunset sky, and Rosweiss utters what she would consider a plea for mercy this time. The majestic castle with its numerous towers and spires appears in all its splendor under a clear sky. Leon lets out a quiet groan, coming to his senses in the soft bed. Muen happily peeks out from behind the edge of the bed, exclaiming, "Daddy, you're awake!" Leon, sitting up in bed and holding his head, asks how he got here. And Moen, peeking out from under the covers, replies that it was Mommy who brought Daddy back. Leon's eyes reflect the memory of Rosweiss in her dragon form grabbing him, and he thinks with annoyance that she has finally caught him like prey. Leon looks at his bandaged hand in surprise, uttering, That's... Moen proudly announces that she was the one who bandaged Daddy's arm, expecting praise. Upon reflection, Leon recalls that draconologists consider dragons to be a ferocious race that spends their lives in violence, and although Muen has obvious draconic traits, he continues his thoughts, noting that she shows no hostility towards him and treats him like a father, wondering if it's because she's a hybrid of human and dragon. With a smile stroking Moen's head, Leon says she's awesome, to which the girl giggles embarrassedly. Leon tells Moen that she is very sweet, but asks her not to become like her mother when she grows up, much to the girl's bewilderment. Rosweiss, appearing in the doorway, asks with icy calmness what's wrong with being like her, making Leon wince. Leon, stammering, replies that it is nothing, while Rosweiss, carrying the tray, looks at him with evident displeasure. Muen proudly reports to her mother that she dressed Dad's wound according to her instructions. Rosweiss, looking at Leon, calmly says, that's what you should do. The girl obediently replies, "Yes, Mommy," and Leon mentally notes what a strict mother she has. Leon suggests that Moen hide in the garden first, promising to come looking for her when he counts to 100. Moen's eyes light up with excitement, and she excitedly asks if Daddy really wants to play hide-and-seek with her. Smiling, Leon tells Moen that he is not like her mother and tells her to run away quickly. Leon starts counting 1, 2, 3, and Moen, in a panic, asks him not to count so fast. Continuing to count 4, 5, Leon watches as Moen runs out of the room in a cloud of smoke. Leon abruptly turns to Rosweiss sitting on the bed and calls out to her, "Hey, I'm talking to you," to which she questions, "What?" After getting out of bed, Leon asks Rosweiss reproachfully if she is being too hard on the child. Rosweiss, sitting on the bed, explains that all dragons go through this, and only strictness with children from an early age can raise strong warriors. Leon objects that Muen isn't really a dragon, and besides, she's so cute, to which Rosweiss replies that Muen is a dragon, and cute is a derogatory word for a dragon. With a slight smile, Leon notices that Rosweiss is pretty cute too. A close-up of Rosweiss's eye is shown, in which irritation flares at his words. Rosweiss's hand clutches Leon's shirt with force, the fabric cracking. An enraged Rosweiss yells at Leon that he's just a slave to vent her anger and to stay out of the way. Leon utters with a confused look. Rosweiss, adjusting his collar, says it's good that he understands. She's the queen of the Silver Dragon clan and has many affairs of state, so the care of the child falls to him. Moving closer to his ear, Rosweiss adds with a smile that the kid loves him. Leon stands on the sun-drenched path in the garden, pondering the fact that she is a dragon queen and very busy, and that dragon slayers seem to be in charge of raising children now. Leon, standing in the garden, looks puzzled, saying, "Huh?" Moen peeks out from behind a pillar, and Leon thinks she's too naive, believing she won't be found if she hides behind him. Holding out his hand, Leon shouts joyfully, "Found you, Moen!" Chibi style, Leon points to Muen, who is standing back, and he looks a little confused. A close-up of Moen's disgruntled face is shown, and Leon wonders if she's angry. Smiling embarrassedly and scratching the back of his head, Leon apologizes to Moen for keeping her waiting. Muen suddenly runs away, and Leon, surprised, shouts after her, "Moen, what's wrong?" Holding out his hand, Leon asks a fleeing Moen why she's running away. Looking around on the garden path, Leon is puzzled as to where she's propagiba to, since he's just seen her run through here. With a confused expression on his face, Leon concludes that the child's mood is really hard to predict. Leon, standing in the garden and scratching the back of his head, ponders that it's no wonder why Rosweiss has assigned him to watch the baby, while Moen peeks out from around the corner. Suddenly, Muen jumps on Leon's back, exclaiming happily, "Ha ha! Muen caught Daddy!" A puzzled Leon asks Muen if she just ran past him, while the girl looks at him with a questioning expression. Muen explains with shining eyes that Daddy couldn't find her, so she went out to look for him herself. With a look of doubt on his face, Leon wondered if he had made a mistake. The girl calls out to Leon, saying she wants to show him something, and he obediently follows her. A close-up of Muin's face with a serious and slightly pensive expression, she is silent. At a family dinner, which is supposed to be a time for socializing, Leon is agonizing. Roswisa sits across the table, and next to Moen is another girl who asks her sister to help her cut the food. The two daughters are similar in appearance, but their personalities are quite different, and it is noted that Noah, the second girl, is clearly more like her mother. With a friendly smile, Leon asks Noah if she likes today's food. Noah exclaims, "Disgusting," in disgust, and Leon feels as if pierced by invisible arrows. Roswisa, covering his mouth with his hand, chuckles quietly at the situation. Moen asks her mother why she is so happy, and Roswisa replies that her father is finally reunited with his family, and she is happy to see him so happy too. The queen turns to Leon, asking why he isn't smiling, to which he replies with a strained smile that of course he's happy to be with his family. Moen asks hopefully if Daddy can have dinner with them every day, and Leon, stammering, mentally exclaims that he doesn't want to have dinner with that dragoness every day. Noah decisively declares no, cutting off the conversation. Moen asks with surprise, "Why not?" And Noah explains that he wants to study in the Young Dragon faculty at St. Heath Academy. Roswisa clarifies with Noah that St. Heath Academy's Young Dragon faculty is full of 4- or 5-year-old dragons and wonders why she's so eager to go there. With burning eyes, Noah declares that he wants to defeat more dragon slayers, causing Leon to choke up. Leon, covering his mouth with a napkin, thinks anxiously that this kid seems to want to beat him, his own father. Leon, with a concerned expression, tells Noah that dragon slayers are very brave, and she's too young, could get hurt. Noah, arms crossed, angrily objects to not being treated like a child, while Leon mentally screams that she is a child. Roswisa remarks with a smile that Noah's idea isn't a bad one, because the sooner she learns, the sooner she can fight the dragon slayer. The queen, turning to Leon, challenges him to ask if he is right, or if he has a reason to prevent Noah from going to school. Leon, looking away, ponders that if he continues to object, Noah will hate him even more as a father, and he can only try to gently change her mind. At the table, Leon, looking at Noah, utters, "No, no more," trying to talk her out of it. With an expression of epiphany, Leon looks at Roswisa, thinking, "Damn, I finally get it." The image of a giant Roswisa appears before Leon, and he realizes that this dragoness wants to use Noah to morally attack him during this dinner. Clutching his knife and fork, Leon angrily thinks, "Just wait, Roswisa, you'll get your ass kicked later." As the queen announces that since his father agrees, it's settled, and the entrance exam for St. Heath Academy will be held in a month, and his father will help Noah prepare. Noah, chibi style, clenches his fists and obediently replies, "Yes, Mommy." The caption, "End of Family Dinner," frames the scene where Moen, stroking her round tummy, says to Noah, "Sis, look, Moen's tummy is round," while Roswisa stands behind her. Leon calls out to Roswisa and she turns to him, standing by the bookshelves. Pointing to an untidy table, Leon remarks, "These plates have not yet been put away," to which Roswisa looks puzzled. The queen replies with mild surprise, "Just let the servants do it." Leon, putting his hand on her shoulder, explains, "After dinner, the couple cleans up and washes the plates together. It's the proper way to end a family dinner." Drawing closer, he adds with pressure, "Don't you want to create a harmonious family atmosphere in front of them? Even if it's just a fake?" Moen, looking at them excitedly, utters, "Looking forward to it." And Noah stands beside her. Roswisa, covering her eyes, reluctantly agrees. "Okay." Moen, raising his hand and shining with joy against the stars, exclaimed, "Moen wants to help too." Noah decisively leads Moen away behind her as she screams in panic, "Ah, sis! Where are we going?" In the sink under the dripping faucet is a stack of dirty dishes from dinner. Roswisa, standing in the kitchen doorway, impatiently asks Leon when he's going to help. Leon, crossing his arms over his chest and with a slight chuckle, wonders if Roswisa has forgotten his words from 2 years ago. Roswisa's face tenses as Leon reminds her that she should never be alone with a highly skilled and powerful dragon slayer. The queen, looking up at Leon from below, anxiously asks what he is going to do. Leon explains that he used to be exhausted after the long journey, and so he was controlled by her dragon pattern, but now things are different. Roswisa's tail, shrouded in a blue glow, rushes sharply towards Leon as she asks if he's thinking of escaping with this ruse. Leon's black-gloved fist meets the powerful blow of the queen's tail. Leon, pushing her tail away, asks defiantly who said he was going to run. Roswisa, with a flushed face and an expression of shock, lets out an exclamation of "Kya!" Roswisa, with face contorted in pain and hair fluttering, utters, "You..." Holding her tail, Leon grinningly wonders if she is unable to do anything about it, explaining that the dragon pattern makes the tail extremely sensitive, and this new knowledge he learned from her dragon book. As Leon gets close to her, he notices that the dragons Roswisa are eager to conquer and control everything. Roswisa's eyes widen with amazement and a slight blush as he questions if she was ever conquered. A close-up of Roswisa's face is shown. Drenched in paint, she is breathing heavily and intermittently. Sitting on the floor with her back to him and breathing heavily, Roswisa begs for her tail to be released. Leon, still holding her tail, reminds her that since his awakening she has been stomping on his dignity and treating him like a toy for his amusement. With anger and a blush on his face, Roswisa shouts out, "Leon, you bastard!" as he offers to switch roles tonight. Roswisa, with an expression of shock, embarrassment, and indignation, looks at Leon, who is still holding her tail. Two maids standing at the ajar door whisper curiously, wondering if the time of love between Her Majesty the Queen and her family is over. Two maids enter the kitchen and are amazed at its perfect cleanliness and wonder if the prince did it. One of the maids excitedly holds up a shining plate, marveling at the cleanliness. Leon, with the door ajar, silently watches the maids in the kitchen. He pulls Roswisa against him, clamping her mouth shut, and whispers for her to be quiet, for she doesn't want the maids to see her, normally such a powerful queen in such a state. A close-up shows Roswisa's eyes full of confusion and anger. With a sly smile, Leon pronounces, "Very well, let's get started, my dear wife." Roswisa's blush-filled eyes read a mixture of humiliation and powerlessness. 3 days later, the majestic castle under a clear sky reappears before us. Moen and Noah sit at Leon's bedside, and Noah notes with concern that his father hasn't woken up in 3 days, assuming if he's dead, to which Moen replies that they should just wait and see. A sharp blow from a child's hand lands on Leon's face, and he cries out in pain. Noah steps his foot on Leon's chest and declares that he's not dead yet, while he indignantly wonders who is treating his father this way. Leon comes to his senses, and Moen, exclaiming, "Ah!" in surprise, looks at him. Moen happily informs the approaching Roswisa that Daddy is awake again, while Leon wonders when he lost consciousness. Roswisa, standing at the mirror, offers Leon with a slight chuckle to help him remember. Leon's mind flashes back to the moment after that night when the dragon pattern stopped working and Roswisa hit him hard. Sitting on the bed, Leon ponders the cruelty of this dragoness, thinking that a normal human would have died from her claws several times already. Looking at Roswisa, Leon notes that she is quite beautiful, even though she is a dragoness over 200 years old. Moen asks why Dad doesn't move, and Noah, arms crossed, snorts that he just glared at their mother and was stunned. Roswisa's hand casually brushes a flower-shaped ornament off the dresser, and she turns around in surprise. The queen bends down and picks up a fallen piece of jewelry from the floor. Leon, attaching a flower to Roswisa's hair, remarks with a smile that this piece of jewelry suits her very well. Roswisa, with an ornament in her hair, asks with slight surprise and suspicion if he expected her to be so attentive, and if he has done this for other women before. Crossing his arms over his chest, Leon replies with a chuckle that as a child he often brushed the mane of his master's donkey and was very skilled at it. Moen, looking out from behind Leon's back, curiously asks his father what a donkey is. Leon, depicting donkey ears with his hands, explains to Moen that donkeys are like dragons, with 2 ears and a tail, are very stubborn and like to moo when displeased, in front of a picture of a donkey wearing clothes. A close-up of Roswisa's eye is shown, while Leon adds that donkeys are just like her mother. Roswisa punches Leon in the face with force, causing him to cry out in pain. Moen and Noah look worriedly at Leon, rubbing his cheek, and Moen asks if he's okay, to which he replies that he is. Roswisa, pointing to his daughters, announces that their assignment today is to learn how to write their names, and their father will teach them, causing Leon to resent being assigned the task again without his consent. Moen joyfully exclaims that Daddy will teach them how to write, while Noah, arms crossed, confidently declares that he can write. Moen suggests Noah go to the study room and pick out a pen, asking what color she prefers, to which Noah replies, "Purple." Roswisa informs Leon that her sister is visiting her today, and she doesn't want him to show his face. Leon asks, with a slight chuckle, if she won't let him meet her family as well. The queen, cradling Leon, instructs him that he is now Leon Cosmod, a male dragon married to the Silver Dragon clan, who has been in a coma for 2 years due to illness and has recently awoken. She continues, pointing to his chest, that if they were to meet, he would have to play along with her fictionalized identity. Close-up of Leon's eyes, he says, "Understood, Your Majesty." Leon, looking at the departing Roswisa, thinks defiantly, Dragoness, do you think I'll listen to you obediently?" With a sly grin, Leon mentally declares that he is going to embarrass Roswisa in front of her sister. The light-filled children's study room in the Silver Dragon Castle appears before us. Leon, sitting at the table with Moen and Noah, shows them how to write, saying, "Just follow what I just taught you and watch. Like this." Leon shows his daughters, Muin and Noah, sheets with their names written on them, Muin K. Melqui and Noah K. Melqui, asking them to copy them several times. Noah, holding up a sheet of hieroglyphics, critically declares that it's not as good as her mother wrote, eliciting a surprised exclamation of, "Hey!" from Leon. With curiosity, Moen wonders what Dad is going to do. while he gets up and explains that he just forgot to give something to their mother. Leaving the room, Leon waves and promises to come back to check later, and Noah looks after him and asks Moen if he's stupid. Jumping up joyfully, Moen notices that Noah seems a little happy, but the latter denies it and tells her to write quickly. Close-up of Noah's face with a slight blush and a pensive expression, she is immersed in her thoughts. At the gates of Silver Dragon Castle, Roswisa, surrounded by guards, meets a guest with fiery red hair. Aisha Melkwi, Queen of the Red Dragons, appears before us, with scarlet hair and a confident look. Roswisa happily hugs her sister Aisha, saying, "Sister, long time no see." Aisha points out that she hasn't seen Roswisa in a year, and she looks much ruder, to which Roswisa embarrassedly protests that she doesn't think so. Aisha curiously wonders why she can't see her husband Roswisa, since he's rumored to be awake. Looking away embarrassed, Roswisa explains that he's a bit unwell today and can't meet yet, to which Isha expresses regret, wanting to see the Dragon King who kidnapped her sister. Isha notes with a sly smile that usually the bond of Dragon Kings is based on profit and clan, without love. But Roswisa and her husband got married and had a child lightning fast, so their relationship must be very good. Flushing, Roswisa angrily protests that marriage and children do not mean a good relationship, and she was not, is not, and will not be attracted to this man. Aisha notes with a slight chuckle that Roswisa still likes to make herself as unapproachable as ever. Changing the subject and putting an arm around her sister's shoulder, Roswisa suggests walking through the garden and chatting since they haven't seen each other in a while. The two sisters, Roswisa and Aisha, walk arm in arm down the garden path, continuing their conversation, the view as if through a spyglass. Leon, watching them through a telescope from the window, states that it is Sister Roswisa. With a determined expression on his face, he tells himself that he will try to find out how far the effects of the dragon pattern extend. Walking through the flowering garden past a guard, Aisha mentions that the Dragon Clan has been a bit unstable lately, especially the Fire Dragon King, who has been very active. Roswisa says the name Constantine, anxiously, the silhouette of a fire dragon appearing in the background. Isha mentions that Constantine hasn't been seen in years, suggesting that he, being flashy, wants to expand his territory while Roswisa listens thoughtfully. Suddenly, a purple dragon pattern flashes across Roswisa's chest, causing her to flinch in surprise. A close-up of Roswisa's eye is shown, reflecting her inner turmoil at this moment. Trying to hide her condition, Roswisa laughs and assures her sister that everything is fine, asking her to continue. Roswisa mentally curses the damn dragon slayer as she imagines Leon relaxing on a chaise lounge with the castle as a backdrop. Aisha continues to talk about the need to strengthen border defenses, while Roswisa, blushing, struggles to contain his reaction. Roswisa feels the effect of the dragon pattern intensify, her body seizes with heat, and she bends over, grabbing herself. Isha anxiously asks her sister if she's okay, noting that her face has turned very red. Barely containing her trembling and covered in blush, Roswisa tells her sister that she urgently needs to be away on business for about 20 minutes. Isha offers to escort her sister, but Roswisa, embarrassed and in a hurry, refuses, assuring her there is no need. With a sly smile, Isha notices to herself that the dragon pattern has been activated, and the youth seems to be having fun with it. Leon, relaxedly reclining on the chaise lounge, thinks with satisfaction, "Roswisa, I want to see how long you can keep this up." Roswisa bursts into the room shouting Leon's name, who asks in surprise why she's back so quickly. Grabbing Leon by the collar, an enraged Roswisa accuses him of deliberately making the dragon pattern resonate to embarrass her in front of her sister. Leon, determined to feign innocence, asks with feigned bewilderment, "Is it wrong that I want you?" Leon's hand touches Roswisa's shoulder, eliciting a surprised exclamation from her, What? In chibi style, Roswisa's face expresses extreme amazement and embarrassment, surrounded by clouds of steam. Leon notes with satisfaction that his plan seems to have worked, and Roswisa, backing away and covering his mouth, is now disgusted with him. With his face flaming with anger and embarrassment, Roswisa shouts, "Shame on you, shameless man! A defeated prisoner talks such nonsense! Put away your filthy thoughts!" Roswisa, blushing, is perplexed as to why she, having come to deal with him, was frightened by just a few words he said. With a flaming face, the queen snorts that he got lucky this time, but she won't let him go next time while Leon makes a face behind her back and teases, "Tease, I'm so scared." Leon, rubbing his chin thoughtfully, ponders that one dirty word can make her so helpless, and this dragon pattern is really powerful. Pressing his hand to his chest and blushing, the young man wondered why his heart beat so fast when he thought of her face. Grabbing his head, Leon orders himself, Cosmod, to wake up and stop thinking about nonsense. In the study room, Muan and Noah are waiting for their father to return, and Muan asks why Dad hasn't come back yet. At the gates of Silver Dragon Castle, Isha, accompanied by Roswisa and the guards, prepares to leave. Aisha, Queen of the Red Dragons, says goodbye to her sister, saying she's leaving today. Rosweisa, smiling and waving, wishes her sister to be careful on the road. Isha, already in dragon form, asks Rosweisa to let her meet her husband next time, to which she readily agrees, promising to talk another time. Rosweisa, standing with her back to the viewer, watches the night sky with the silhouettes of dragons hovering against the full moon and red energy waves spreading out around her. A close-up of Rosweisa's face is shown, her eyes narrowed, her gaze full of determination, and her lips pressed together in silent reflection. Against the rocky landscape, Rosweisa thinks angrily, "Damn Dragon Slayer, I haven't taught him enough yet. I'll teach him a lesson tonight." Leon, being in the other room, suddenly sneezes, covering his mouth with his hand. Sitting in an armchair and reading a book with the title A Young Dragon's Story, Leon grinned and wondered, "Is this dragoness scolding me?" He looks over at the peacefully sleeping in the large bed Moen and Noah, stating that they are both asleep. Leon carefully adjusts the blanket on his sleeping daughters, mentally wishing they wouldn't catch cold. Carefully opening the door, Leon is about to quietly leave the girls' room. Suddenly his hand is pressed against the door, and he looks away with a surprised and frightened expression. Rosweisa, pressing his hand against the door, asks with icy calmness and a slight smirk, "Where are you going?" While Leon, with a somewhat nervous smile, inquires, "Has your sister gone?" Rosweisa, with a determined look, utters, we still have things to do today." Chibi style, Rosweisa drags a stubborn Leon behind him, commanding, "Follow me!" as he yells, "No!" The Silver Dragon Queen's luxurious spooge, flooded with warm light, appeared before us. Hands lower a wooden basin of steaming hot water to the floor. Leon, holding the basin, asks Rosweisa, "Here, the hot water is here. What do you need it for?" The Queen, gracefully seated and stretching her legs, declares, "I am very tired after walking all day. Please wash my feet." A close-up of Leon's face expresses extreme bewilderment as he utters, "Ah?" Rosweisa, with an imperious look, orders, "Stop talking nonsense and do as you're told. This is punishment for what you did today." Leon kneels down and begins to remove the shoe from Rosweisa's foot, muttering, "Tss, I'm a dragon slayer, but I have to become a slave washing the feet of a dragoness." Holding Rosweisa's graceful foot, Leon thinks bitterly, "That damn dragoness really knows how to enjoy herself. I wonder how many corpses of dragon slayers she's stepping on." Rosweisa, sitting on the bed, notices Leon's gaze on her feet and wonders why he is looking at them that way. With an expression of mild disgust and embarrassment on his face, the Queen wonders if this is some sort of disgusting habit of his. Chibi-style, Rosweisa, laughing, orders Leon to dip her feet into a basin of water. A close-up shows Rosweisa's graceful feet immersed in warm water in a wooden basin. Rosweisa cries out, "Kaya, it's too hot!" instinctively jerking his foot off and hitting Leon in the face. Leon lets out a groan of ugh, recoiling from the unexpected blow. Hovering over Leon, Rosweisa angrily asks if he is deliberately trying to get back at her. Leon parries with a sly grin, wondering who asked him to wash her feet. A close-up of Rosweisa's eye is shown, and she notes with annoyance that he seems to have a short memory. Rosweisa's graceful foot touches Leon's chest as she says that he never thought he would one day. Rosweisa's foot presses against Leon's shoulder, and she mockingly asks how he feels about being trampled by a dragon as he lets out a suppressed groan. The Queen's foot comes down on Leon's face with force, pushing him in. Leon, with a flushed face, asks her to stop, noting to himself this humiliating yet satisfying feeling. Rosweisa, looking down at him, snorts, wanting to see how long he can take it. A close-up of Leon's reddened eye is shown. He mentally vows not to succumb to the tyranny of this dragoness. Leon's hand firmly grips Rosweisa's ankle. With a blush and a mischievous grin, Leon declares that he has eaten pigs, cows, and goats' feet, but has never tasted dragon's feet. Rosweisa, wide-eyed with shock and embarrassment, asks what he is doing. Leon sinks his teeth into Rosweisa's leg, announcing that tonight's appetizer is raw dragon claws. Against the backdrop of the castle at night, Rosweisa's furious shout is heard, "Leon Cosmode, I'll kill you!" The next day, Moen, rubbing sleepy eyes, and Noah, with arms crossed, stare perplexed at something. Moon, turning to her mother, wonders why she limps when walking, to which Rosweisa replies briefly, "Nothing." The girl then asks her father why he has bruises on his face, and Leon also waves it off. It's nothing. A close-up of Moen's face expresses obvious bewilderment and curiosity. Moen excitedly suggests that her parents must have been playing some fun games without her, and declares that she wants to join in too. In the garden at Silver Dragon Castle, Leon and Rosweisa stroll among the flower beds and fountains. Rosweisa walks ahead with a disgruntled look, and Leon follows her with his hands in his pockets. The two maids watching them from afar whisper, "Look, the Queen and the Prince are on a date, haha, what a cute couple." One of the maids, however, remarks doubtfully, "But Why do I think Her Majesty and the Prince are not very close to each other? Rosweiss and Leon's divided gazes are full of silent tension and unspoken emotion. Leon looks at the departing Rosweiss, wondering why things have turned out this way, and the text explains that it's because... The caption, "some time ago," precedes a flashback where Leon asks in surprise, "Ah, go for a walk? Why should I go for a walk with you?" Rosweiss, standing with his back to him, replies that it is also his job to maintain a false appearance of family harmony to outsiders. Leon mentally notes that there is something wrong with Rosweiss today. She is unusually proactive, and wonders what she is up to as she walks ahead with her arms crossed over her chest. Moen and Noah, looking out from behind a tree, are whispering, and one of them says, "Hey, Dad is so stupid, he can't even hold hands." Moen declares emphatically, "Moen is going to help them," while Noah tries to stop her by saying, "Wait." Moen runs out from behind a tree, and Noah shouts after her, "Leave them alone!" Moen runs up to his parents, shouting joyfully, "Mommy! Daddy!" And Rosweiss asks with mild irritation, "Moen, why did you follow me?" Leon's hand and Rosweiss's hand separately reach for Moen's hand, with pink and orange dragon silhouettes respectively. Moen, taking his parents' hands, declares, "When walking, you have to hold hands together." Moen announces that he's going to go play with his sister, leaving Leon wondering where the child got so much knowledge from. Noah pinches a crying Moen's cheek, who begs her sister to let her go, promising not to do it again, while their parents hold hands in the background. Leon, somewhat embarrassed, reflects on the unexpectedness of the situation, while Rosweiss, blushing, says it's okay and let them continue holding hands. Noticing Rosweiss's unusual malleability, Leon admits that he is unaccustomed to it, to which she suggests that he has tamed her and is now embarrassed by her good attitude. Their daughters watch from behind a tree. Leon reflects that he has always seen Rosweiss as a queen and is surprised by her embarrassment at simply holding hands, assuming that her strictness as a mother is due to her inability to bond with her children. Turning to Rosweiss, Leon wonders why Moen and Noah always call her mother in his presence, to which he asks if there's a problem. Leon explains that daddy is usually used paired with mommy, and since Moen calls him daddy and hers calls her mother, it may indicate the daughter's greater distance from her. Rosweiss asks, with a look of surprise on her face, whether the difference between addressing mother and mom is really that great. With an encouraging smile, Leon suggests that she try having the kids call her mom, assuring her that it will bring their relationship much closer. Rosweiss's face floods with paint. She looks extremely amazed and embarrassed by his unexpected proposal. Rosweiss, embarrassed at agreeing to try it next time, quickens her step dramatically, dragging Leon along with her, who wonders why she went so fast. Heading towards the castle, the queen asks Leon if he is homesick, and though she can't let him go, offers something to ease his longing a little, eliciting a surprised exclamation of, "Huh?" from him. They stop in front of a huge, ornate door labeled Castle Warehouse. Leon asks curiously, "This?" To which Rosweiss, averting her gaze, replies that she hasn't given the place a name. Her hand reaches for the doorknob and she clarifies that he can call it a warehouse, a back room, or whatever he wants. The door creaks open, releasing a cloud of dust or mist as Rosweiss adds that the name doesn't matter. Inside, a spacious hall full of treasures opens up, and Leon wonders in amazement if this is the dragon's treasure room. Looking at the glowing green round artifact, Leon exclaims that in the Empire it would sell for hundreds of thousands of gold, to which Rosweiss explains that it is a bracelet given to her by her grandmother as a child. Crossing her arms over her chest, the queen adds that in addition to the trophies, there are things here that have special meaning to her. Leon, examining the jeweled object, remarks that he hasn't heard her talk much about other family members besides her sister, and Rosweiss replies that she has never met her parents, and she and her sister were raised by their grandmother. Leon shares that his story is similar to hers, as he grew up in an orphanage without knowing his parents and was adopted by his mentor and his wife. With curiosity in his gaze, Leon wonders why exactly Rosweiss brought him here and what she wants to show him. Rosweiss, standing with her back to him in front of a large, ornate chest, replies that she has something that can temporarily make him forget his troubles, causing Leon to gasp in surprise. Leon's face contorts in shock as he exclaims, "Black gold armor?" A magnificent dark metal armor with gold accents appears before him, and Rosweiss asks if he always wanted it back. Not believing his eyes and reaching into the trunk, Leon asks if he's dreaming and if she's really going to give them to him. Rosweiss, with a sly and slightly sinister smile, confirms, "Yep, that's right." Leon's black-gloved hand touches the breastplate of his armor, emitting a bright blue glow and a sound effect of "when." An enchanted dragon mark flashes on the armor, and Leon exclaims in despair, "Enchanted dragon mark? Black gold armor, my good brother. How did you die too?" With a triumphant look, Rosweiss declares, "Heh heh, you finally sprung the trap, Leon." Leon, surrounded by the purple glow from the activated mark on his armor, angrily questions Rosweise about what she has done. Rosweise explains with a triumphant smile that she has applied a dragon pattern to his armor that enhances its properties, activated by touch. Leon's black-gloved hand that touched the armor finds itself pinned to the floor. He lets out a groan. Ugh! Grasping his chest where the purple mark shines, Leon utters angrily, "Despicable dragoness! I was careless." Rosweise notes with a sly smile that the enhanced dragon pattern has doubled its effect. Approaching Leon and grabbing his chin, she asks with a sneer, "Ah, my dear dragon slayer, can you bear it?" Leon, clenching his teeth, struggles to pronounce her name. Say! Rosweise pushes Leon away and he falls on his back, the purple mark on his chest glowing brightly. Lying on the floor and blushing, Leon struggles to utter, "Damn, I can't move my body, but the desire in my lower body is stronger than ever." Rosweise, hovering over Leon propped up on the red couch, asks if he thought she didn't hold a grudge for defeating her, and adds that she'd been thinking for the last few days about how to get revenge and get him to let his guard down, but didn't expect him to get caught so easily. Leon, blushing and clenching his teeth, struggles to utter, "You dragoness." With a sly smile, Rosweise wonders how he likes her acting skills. Aren't they pretty good? In desperation, Leon cries out whether all her words today about never meeting her parents and having Moen call her mom and hold her hands were lies. Rosweise, snuggling up to him, replies that no, that's all true, but it doesn't affect what she's going to do to him now, Leon. She reminds him of his own words, asking him what he told her before while the dragon pattern glows on her back. Continuing, Rosweise recalls his question about whether she likes to conquer. With a sly smile and a blush, she confirms, "Haha, yes, I love to conquer." Hovering over him and surrounded by petals, Rosweise asks, "Are you ready, my dear husband?" While Leon groans, "Ugh, damn." A castle exterior with a large round rose window, symbolizing the passage of time or the culmination of a moment. After a while, a close-up of Leon's face with tears, he thinks, "Finally, it's over." Rosweise, with a satisfied smile, looks at Leon lying beneath her, whose gaze is full of weariness and humility. A close-up of Leon's face is shown. He asks in bewilderment, "What are you doing?" Touching his chin, Rosweise notices that compared to 2 years ago, the scars on his face have faded a bit, but he looks more haggard, a survivor of adversity, and there's more of a mature masculinity about him. Chibi-style Leon, arms crossed, shouts indignantly, "Bah! You're trying to fool me again! I'm not falling for it again!" While Rosweise sits with his back to him. Turning around, Rosweise utters with a slight chuckle, "Humph, you've gotten smarter." Leon looks in chibi-style amazement at Rosweise, who, already dressed, is standing in front of him, and she utters, "But..." With a flirtatious smile and a blush, Rosweise remarks, "Your health is not what it used to be." A close-up of Leon's chibi-style face expresses extreme bewilderment. He utters, "Ah?" Against the backdrop of outer space and Leon's shocked face, a chibi-style caption appears, "Leon, you're not in the form you were before." Continuing the phrase in front of an even more shocked chibi-style Leon, the caption reads, "You're not as crapped as you were before." The chibi-style Leon indignantly shouts, "Ah!" as the captions, "not as good as before" and "like before" emphasize his humiliation. The next day, the majestic silver dragon castle shines under the rays of the morning sun. Leon looks out from behind the ajar door with a tired and wary look, mouthing coming. In the morning, Rosweise with arms crossed and Moen, holding the book Encyclopedia of Dragons, meet Leon. Rosweise remarks with a sly smile, "Looks like you had a bad trip last night." Leon angrily objects, "It's because of what you said," to which Rosweise replies with feigned innocence, "Really? I don't remember." Moen, watching them wrangle, thinks, "Here we go again." Rosweise reminds Leon that the entrance exam for St. Heath Academy is very rigorous, and he should start training Noah in dragon knowledge today. With a slight chuckle, the queen adds that after all, he can only demonstrate his worth in other areas for now. Leon, clenching his fist against the flames, thinks furiously, "Damn it! Yesterday, I just wasn't at my best yesterday." Leon, pointing at Rosweise, declares that he will help Noah pass the exam, but he wants something of equal value from her in return. Rosweise agrees to his request with a slight smile, but warns him not to be excessive. With a determined look, Leon confirms, "A promise is a promise." Rosweise, smiling, wishes him to study hard, but not to overwork himself, while Leon mentally exclaims, "Dragoness, you're finished." Moen, standing next to Leon, asks why he had a fight with his mom, to which he replies that it's just normal communication. Leon, looking at Moen with surprise, interjects, "Wait, what did you name her?" A close-up of Moen's face as she says, "Mom." Leon asks Moen if Rosweisa asked her to change her address and which she likes better, the old or the present one, to which the girl replies, the present one. With a satisfied smile, Leon utters, "Ha ha, I told you you'd like it." Moen, with book in hand, looks at him with a slight blush and a multi-dot above his head, expressing silent surprise or embarrassment. Noah, with the Dragon Encyclopedia in hand, impatiently asks when they'll start studying while Leon runs after her, shouting, "Hey, Noah, wait for me!" In the children's study room of Silver Dragon Castle, two small toy dragon figures stand by a bookshelf. Leon, sitting at a table of books and thoughtfully propping his head up with his hand, silently ponders while looking at the study materials. Rosweisa, appearing in the room, turns to Leon. "Hey, it's so late, you haven't spogibed yet?" Leon explains that Noah has a strong capacity for learning and understanding, so simple teaching doesn't work for her, and he plans to organize key knowledge and combine it with test questions, for which he has to stay up late to make lesson plans. Peacefully sleeping, Noah cuddles a green dragon toy, while Leon confidently declares that Noah is a very smart child, and he's sure he can get her ready to take the test within a month. With a smug smile, Rosweisa remarks, "It's inevitable after all, Noah follows me." Leon objects with a confident chuckle. "That's not necessarily true." Punching his chest proudly, Leon brags, "I was a dragon-killing genius who graduated with first place in both written and practical exams every year. I received every top-level scholarship in the school." With a challenge, Leon asks Rosweisa, "So what about you, Your Majesty? What kind of champion are you?" causing her to stammer and utter, "Ya..." Rosweisa reflects with surprise that she always thought he was a no-nonsense fighter, but didn't expect him to be a top student as well. With a chuckle, the queen wonders how he, so powerful, became her prisoner, to which Leon, in chibi form, indignantly shouts that he only lost once. In chibi style, Leon tearfully draws a pogibok on water, lamenting that one mistake leads to eternal regret, and a tiger is bullied by a dragon in troubled times, and Rosweisa remarks that he is afraid of being ridden by a dragon. Rosweisa looks in surprise at the plate of yellow chili peppers on the table, asking, Chili peppers?" Turning to Leon sitting at the table with the books, she wonders what he's going to do about it, to which he replies, "Oh, it's..." Leon, holding a pepper in his hand, explains with a smile that he took it from the kitchen to freshen up. Rosweisa anxiously warns that it's dragon yellow pepper, and he, being human, won't be able to take it while Leon takes a bite. Leon's face reddened, his cheeks puffed up from the pungency of the pepper. Flames burst out of Leon's mouth and he yells, "Very sharp! Ah!" Chibi style, several Leons run around the room in a panic, knocking things over and yelling, "Water, water, water! There's no water in here!" Rosweisa, enveloped in a soft glow, gently touches Leon's face, who looks at her in wonder. A close-up of Leon's face flushed, his eyes wide open at the unexpected touch. Rosweisa, with a slight blush on her cheeks, explains that her hands are cool and will make him feel more comfortable. Leon, with eyes closed and blushing, enjoys the cool touch of Rosweisa's perished fingertips on his face, which he says feels very nice. A close-up of Rosweisa's hand gently touching Leon's cheek, and he notes that it is not the sharp and irritating cold of ice, but a very soft chill. Leon and Rosweisa's silhouettes are bathed in a purple glow. He thanks her, saying he feels better now, and she confirms. Leon and Rosweisa stand, embarrassed, against a backdrop of pink hearts and the caption "smoothed." As they leave, Rosweisa advises Leon to go to bed early and not to eat too much chili, or he'll have to teach Noah sign language, to which he embarrassingly agrees. Leon, looking after the departing Rosweisa, thinks with a blush that he actually wanted her to touch his face some more. Crossing his arms over his chest, Leon angrily reminds himself that Rosweisa is an evil dragoness who trapped him, tormented him, and declared that he doesn't have enough physical strength, and that it's perverse to think about it. Leon, sitting at a table with books, ponders the need for his body to recover quickly. Studying an ancient folio, he searches for a remedy, rejecting red dragon fruit and lotus grass as unsuitable. His attention is drawn to a page describing great dragon power, a highly effective medicine for harmonizing yin and yang and strengthening the body. With a face shining with joy, Leon exclaims that he has finally found what he was looking for. The next day, through a window flooded with morning light, Leon informs Noah that her test has been verified and offers to guess the result out of 100 possible points. Noah, with big blue eyes, tentatively suggests that she has scored 50 points. Leon shows Noah her work with a smile, reporting that she scored a 62, which is above her expectations. Noah, clenching her fists and puffing up her cheeks, doesn't look entirely pleased despite the higher-than-expected result. Leon thoughtfully notes to himself that Noah doesn't seem satisfied with her grade, and this child has high expectations of herself. Upon reflection, Leon thinks that Noah could have been carefree like Moen, but instead took the initiative to go to school herself. Leon, stroking Noah's head, praises her, noting that 62 points on the first try is pretty impressive. Noah, with big blue eyes and a slight blush, thanks him briefly. Covering his mouth with his fist and coughing, Leon suggests further focusing on mistakes. Apologizing, Leon ponders if he ate too much chili last night, as his throat is now a little scratchy, and remembers that he ate a few more peppers to cheer himself up. Mentally, Rosweiss tells Noah that her father drew up a syllabus for her last night, and though the rascal seems unreliable, he's the best student. Noah recalls his mother saying that his father had eaten the Dragon Clan's very hot yellow pepper to stay awake, so it would be strange if his throat was okay. Holding out a small oval green object to Leon, Noah says, "This is for you." Leon asks in surprise, "For me?" While Noah clarifies that it was his mom who gave it to him, not her. With a warm smile, Leon asks to say thank you to his mom, thinking that this child, like Rosweiss, is outwardly cold, but really just doesn't know how to express kindness. In chibi style, Leon enthusiastically encourages further study. Noah agrees, and the caption says that the father-daughter relationship has grown a little closer. In the kitchen of Silver Dragon Castle, footsteps can be heard behind the ajar door. Two maids bring Leon the herbs he asked for, and he tells them to put everything on the table where the alchemical equipment is already set up. Leon mentally notes that he asked for extra herbs on purpose, so the maids wouldn't guess his true intentions. Upon reflection, Leon ponders why, despite the availability of ingredients and the apparent simplicity of the Great Dragon Power recipe, even the best Dragon Clan pharmacists have a low chance of success. With white gloves on, Leon begins the first step of the preparation, carefully grinding and mixing the herbs in a mortar. Then he successively adds the prepared herbs to a cauldron of boiling liquid on the fire. Hours later, leaning back in his chair and putting his hands behind his head, Leon grudgingly states another failure, recognizing that it's not easy. Dropping his head to the table, he stares at the flask in frustration, thinking that he had failed every time at the last step of purifying and separating the potion. There are 2 alchemical vessels on the table, and it is explained that the high-temperature separation method described in the book requires precise control, or the drug will either inactivate or not purify properly. Vigorously shaking the flask until his hands ache, Leon ponders that manual separation is inefficient and professional tools are not available, and recalls his teacher's admonition to seek other avenues if one doesn't work. Through the open window, you can see a stormy sky pierced by lightning, accompanied by the sound of rolling thunder. Leon, sitting in a chair with a flask of purple potion, notices a thunderstorm and assumes it will rain soon. Going to the window, he watches the lightning with amazement, repeating, "Lightning, thunder, thunder," as it rattles outside. A close-up of Leon's face lights up with a hunch as he recalls his teacher's words that electrolysis of impurities is sometimes more effective than firing. With determination, Leon offers to use an element of thunder not mentioned in the book, noting his mastery of lightning magic and partial recovery of powers. His white-gloved hands direct the blue lightning energy at the potion flask, claiming his power is enough for such delicate manipulation. Half an hour later, a white-gloved hand holds up a small dark pill against a bright glow, heralding success. Smiling confidently, Leon holds up the pill in the box, noticing that the Dragon Clan's medicine is quite simple to make. Muen, looking out from behind the table, curiously asks his father what he's doing, to which he replies, "A good thing." Leon looks slightly caught off guard by Muen's appearance, looking at her silently. Leon, startled, exclaims, "Ah! Muen!" upon seeing his daughter. Trying to hide the pill, Leon nervously assures Muen that he's not doing anything while she curiously asks if it's candy in Papa's hand. Leon, showing the box, explains that it's medicine he made for Mommy, and Muen anxiously wonders if Mommy is sick. Stroking Muen's head, Leon reassures her, saying that her mom just worked too hard and he wants to give her something to strengthen her, mentally adding that he actually cooked it for himself. Muen, with shining eyes and a perished face raised upward, urges his father to take good care of his mother. Leon agrees with a smile that it's his father's duty, mentally anticipating how he'll take care of Rosweiss when he regains his strength. A thunderstorm rages outside the castle, lightning illuminating the front of the building in the pouring rain. Leon, lying in bed and holding the pill, pondered whether the Dragon Clan's nutritional supplements would have a negative effect on humans, even though the Great Dragon Power had been created. Deciding to set aside his doubts, he clenches his fist, ready to take the medicine. A sudden knock on the door interrupts his musings, making him wary. Leon, caught off guard in his bed, is surprised to ask Rosweiss, who has entered, the reason for her visit. With a slight smile, Rosweiss reports that Muen told her about the chocolate candy-like medicine Leon had prepared for her. Leon nervously mutters, mentally cringing that his little secret was revealed so quickly. Rosweiss calms him down, saying she has no intention of interrogating him, but is only amazed at his ability to create medicines under such simple conditions. With curiosity, the queen wonders what exactly he has cooked and asks him to show her. Leon hands her a small decorated box, thinking that she would still take it by force if he refused. Holding up the box, Rosweise praises Leon, calling him amazing for being able to create such a perfect great dragon force under such conditions. Surprised by her praise, Leon mentally wonders if she is laughing at him, recalling the saying about a man of words and a man of action. With a serious look, Rosweise declares that he can keep the medicine, but should not take it now. Leon, holding the box she returned to him in surprise, asks, why? Rosweise explains that this dragon tonic is too powerful for the human body, to which Leon asks doubtfully if it's that powerful. With a serious expression on her face, the queen reminds him that as a human he will not be able to withstand his power. Leon, holding the pillory, defiantly declares that he has defeated countless dragon kings and will be able to take some pillory, asking Rosweise not to underestimate him. He decisively swallows the pill, making a surrendered ugh sound. Grasping his throat, Leon utters with a smile, "Courage is the anthem of humanity," while Rosweise looks at him anxiously, pronouncing his name. Leon's eyes widen with shock as the effects of the drug begin to show. Rosweise, in a panic, swings her leg, screaming that she almost never used healing magic, and Leon falls on the bed, letting out a groan. Pressing her hand to his chest where the magic circle glows, Rosweise asks how he's feeling and offers to try to neutralize the effects of the pill. Leon, squirming in pain, pushes her hand away, and Rosweise, with an expression of despair, yells at him not to move. Surrounded by a blue electric discharge, Leon, clenching his teeth, declares, "Look closely. The Silver Dragon Queen, this is the courage and determination of humanity." A blue glow floods the castle's grand hall while a thunderstorm rages outside, heralding a powerful release of energy. Leon, engulfed in blue electrical discharges, lets out a loud cry of "Ah!" while Rosweise watches him anxiously. A close-up of Rosweise's face expresses horror, and she mentally questions, using lightning magic on his own body. What the hell is he doing? Continuing to be surrounded by blue discharges, Leon lets out a suppressed groan of "Ugh!" while pressing his hand to his chest. In a panic, Rosweise rushes to Leon, who falls on the bed and screams his name. Leon lies on the bed with his eyes closed, and Rosweise, leaning over him, thinks anxiously, he really is insane. Standing at the bedside, Rosweise says to Leon, who looks at her with a slight blush, "You wait here, I'll get the court healer." Leon's hand suddenly reaches for the departing Rosweise, who turns around with a surprised exclamation of... Leon grabs Rosweise's arm with force, pulling her to his bed, and she looks at him in amazement. With an expression of extreme bewilderment on his face, Rosweise asks, "How did you..." Leon, with a blush and a blissful smile, hugs Rosweise's tail, playfully asking, "Hey, wife, where are you going?" Rosweise, embarrassed and indignant, exclaims, Who is your wife?" In chibi style, Rosweise tries to push away Leon, who, sitting on the bed and hugging her tail, refuses to let go of his wife. Leon continues to call her wife, while Rosweise ponders that the great dragon power should only strengthen the body, not cause unconsciousness, and wonders if the lightning magic has altered the effect of the medicine. The queen is somewhat relieved to think that, although he looks like an idiot, his life is not yet in danger. Leon continues to call her wife, and Rosweise, giving up, asks what happened and asks him to tell her. With a glowing look, Leon declares, "I want a second child, wife." Rosweise, wide-eyed with shock, exclaimed, "Ah?" Leon, still hugging her tail, insists on a second child, while Rosweise indignantly replies that he took poor care of 2 children during her first pregnancy and now wants another one, and for him to forget about it. Covering his face with his hand, Rosweise thinks with annoyance that to avoid any unnecessary complications, it would be better to just play along. In chibi form, Rosweise teases Leon by saying that they want not only a second child, but a third and fourth, to which he demands that she return with him to his homeland, and she replies that they'll come back when things settle down. Leon shouts "Great" in delight, while Rosweise thinks with annoyance that he's even more obnoxious today than usual. Attempting to kiss Rosweise, Leon says affectionately, "Wifey, you're so cute, Mo!" causing her to be surprised. Rosweise pushes Leon's face away, who protests that she's not taking advantage of the situation, and the queen mentally wonders when the drug will wear off. With a cry of "Idiot!" Rosweise strikes Leon in the face with his fist, and he lets out a painful groan of "Ugh!" Leon is curled up on the bed, whimpering, and Rosweise thinks to herself, I couldn't resist beating him." Leaning over him with a concerned expression, Rosweise asks, "Are you okay?" Leon, clutching his chest and breathing heavily, complains, "Wife, I feel a little uneasy." And Rosweise thinks anxiously, "Not good." The dragon pattern on Rosweise's chest suddenly flashes with purple light, catching her off guard. Leon, lying on the bed with the dragon pattern shining on his chest, is perplexed as to why it activated just now, while Rosweise's hands are touching his. Leon gently places his hand on Rosweisa's shoulder, causing her to tense slightly. Her body trembles as she feels his touch. Leon piles on top of Rosweisa despite her outrage and screaming. He admits that he feels bad, and their posture indicates the growing tension between them. The boy with a blush on his cheeks feels his body heat and an itch in his chest, hinting at a strange internal change. Rosweisa realizes that the reason for what is happening is the combination of the dragon pattern and the lightning element, which has heightened Leona's instinct to procreate. Leon hugs her ponytail with tenderness and delight, confessing that he especially likes it. He can barely contain his growing feelings. Rosweisa resents the fact that her tail has been dragging on the floor all day, and Leon grabs it without paying attention. She demands that he get off her. The girl is stunned that Leon has suddenly put his finger to her lips, and confusion and slight embarrassment appear on her face. Leon looks at Rosweisa with warmth and recognizes that she is especially beautiful this night. His gaze becomes soft and amorous. Although Rosweisa tries to object, she notices that Leon's behavior has changed dramatically. There is a madness and determination in him that is hard to resist. Confused, she suddenly admits that she even develops a slight anticipation of what is happening. Leon, with a blush and a languid look, pleads, "Wife, you can help me, can't you?" Rosweisa, with a flushed face and claw marks on her cheek, reluctantly agrees. "Okay, just tonight." A sun-drenched window shows a woman's graceful legs against a sun-drenched backdrop, and a moan of "ah" can be heard in a cloud of hearts. A majestic white castle with towers shines under a clear sky, surrounded by flowering trees, and hieroglyphics convey the chirping of birds. Leon, lying back on his pillow, utters a tired look. Ugh. Upon waking up, Leon sees Rosweisa beside him under the blanket, who asks, "Are you awake?" Leon jumps out of bed, screaming in terror. "Ah, why are you here? Ugh!" Grasping his shoulder, Leon complains, "My whole body hurts." Sitting on the edge of the bed and touching his feet, Leon tries to remember. "My memory is a bit fragmented. What happened last night?" And Rosweisa asks, "You don't remember anything?" Rosweisa, covering her naked back with a sheet and showing signs of passion, reminds her with a chuckle, "You didn't forget that, did you, Dragon Slayer?" Leon, with a look of shock on his face, wonders if he is the one who left so many traces of passion. Embarrassing memories of the previous night, where he had begged Rosweisa, blushing, flashed through his mind, and he clutched his head in horror. Covering himself with a blanket, Leon exclaims, "Oh no!" in panic, realizing the full extent of the night's events. Rosweisa, with a sly smile and bared shoulders, wonders if he remembers begging her for it last night. Leon, clutching his head, recalls his words, "Honey, let's do it one last time, okay? And wife, I feel really bad, please help me, just this one time, one last time." Interrupting her and waving her off, Leon declares, "Enough! You don't need to repeat yourself, I remember everything." While Rosweisa, covering herself with a sheet, looks at him. Leon, fixing his shirt, reflects that he had originally prepared the Great Dragon Force only to maintain his health and to teach Rosweisa a lesson, not expecting such effectiveness. Rosweisa, already dressed in her characteristic dress, asks if he went too far last night and hurt her, to which Leon replies, "It's all right." With a smug grin and arms crossed, Leon declares that now is the time for her to know if he's in good health, and not to say he's not good enough next time. A close-up shows Rosweisa's eyes, which read a mixture of surprise, mild irritation, and perhaps embarrassment. Leon, with a surprised exclamation of, What?" looks at Rosweisa, who is approaching him on the bed. Closing in on his face, Rosweisa states with satisfaction that she was very pleased with his performance last night, Dragon Slayer, and hopes he can keep it up. "Chibi style," Leon exclaims indignantly. "Ah, I'm in the service industry now?" Rosweisa, sitting on the bed with his arms crossed, recalls the argument about the name change. With mild surprise, the queen asks, since he won, if he's thought about what requests he'd like to make. Leon, with a relaxed smile and a hand behind his head, replies that yes, he had thought of that. With a serious expression on his face, he asks her to send someone to the Empire to check on his mentor and his wife. Rosweisa explains that silver dragons aren't very good at sneaking around, but if just visiting someone, it's not a problem, while Leon exclaims hopefully, "Really? Then thank you." Covering his mouth with his hand and coughing, Leon thanks her for her help. The sun-drenched garden of the Silver Dragon Castle with an archway covered with white flowers appears before us. Moen, sitting at a table with paints and cubes, asks Leon if he is sick. Leon, with slight nervousness, denies it, wondering why she thought that. Moen, with a sly expression, explains that Mama said it was as if Papa took the medicine himself yesterday, and men can't say they're sick. Leon inwardly resents how this dragoness could tell such a thing to a child, and wonders if he has no dignity. Moen continues to speculate whether Papa is still feeling ill because the medicine is ineffective or he has taken too little, and remarks, Ah, Papa's mouth is bleeding. In a panic, Muan hugs Leon, exclaiming, Daddy, Daddy, Muan can't live without Daddy. Papa, please don't die. Leon, hugging Moen, reassures her, telling her that he's fine, and thinks that she is, as expected of a Rossweisse daughter, somewhat like her mother, being ruthless in that aspect. To distract her, Leon offers to make her a new toy today, to which Moen happily exclaims that she loves toys. Leon's hands hold a Rubik's Cube, and he brushes the finishing touches on it. Leon holds out a Rubik's Cube to Moen, explaining that this toy can be spun any way she wants, and suggests she try it, to which she joyfully shouts, Yay! Leon reflects that he learned some simple principles of mechanical bonding in alchemy and mechanics classes in school, not expecting to have to use them today while caring for a child, and wonders if he was born to be a babysitter. A close-up of Leon's face is shown, with a question mark hovering over it, expressing his bewilderment. Leon, standing back, looks toward the sun-drenched garden archway, immersed in his thoughts. Moen, holding a Rubik's Cube, anxiously asks his father what's wrong, to which he replies, No, nothing. Upon reflection, Leon assumes he's just felt the dragon's gaze and wonders if that's the direction Noah is training in. On the table are crafting tools and pogabitra with paints, and Leon decides to make a toy for Noah too, since she hasn't joined them. At night, Noah peeks through the ajar door of the room where Moen is sleeping peacefully, covered with a blanket of carrots. On the table next to his bed, Noah discovers a Rubik's Cube and a note. A toy for Noah. Find a way to rebuild it. Noah, holding a Rubik's Cube, dismissively declares that she has no interest in such children's toys. However, her hands begin to spin a Rubik's Cube, accompanied by clicking sound effects. Noah, with a slight smile and shining blue eyes, holds up the Rubik's Cube and mentally thanks his father. Moen, peering out from behind the door to Noah's room, reflects that her sister has been acting a little strange lately, often hiding things in a box under her bed without saying anything to Moen. In the guise of a detective with a magnifying glass, Moen decides to see what goodies his sister is hiding while she's away. Discovering a Rubik's Cube from Leon in the box, scraps of his black and gold armor, and a sheet with the name Noah K. Melqui written by Leon, Moen is surprised to note that it's all related to Papa. With a sly smile, the Moen detective concludes that she's realized her sister is actually very nice to their father. Noah, catching Moen with the box open, angrily orders no peeking while Moen, with her mouth bound, makes squeezed noises. The crest of St. Heath Academy appears, and the text explains that it is an aristocratic Dragon Clan college with strict admission standards, where family is an important part of the evaluation criteria. An illustration of a happy dragon family accompanies the text that St. Heath Academy believes that only a harmonious, loving family that promotes dragon ideals can raise a worthy young dragon and only accepts such students. To create the illusion of a harmonious and loving dragon family, the Silver Dragon Queen decided to take the whole family for a walk and take a family photo together, with the backdrop of Heavenly City, where the silver dragon is flying to. In the sky above the city soars a multitude of dragons, with Rossweisse in dragon form standing out among them, while below, Leon and Moen and Noah, dressed in red cloaks with wings, look up. Leon, standing at the base of a huge dragon's paw, tells Moen, who is hovering happily above him, to go down slower and he will catch her. Moen, finding herself in Leon's arms, excitedly asks why Daddy didn't just turn into a dragon, because she wants to see it. Leon replies with a nervous grin to his dear daughter that he's very good at killing dragons, but as for turning into a dragon, she'd better forget it. Noah, standing nearby with his arms crossed, asks Leon suspiciously if he can transform. Rossweisse, observing the scene, says with a slight smile, Well, while Leon looks extremely embarrassed and tries to look away. The queen explains to her daughters with a soft smile that their father's body has not yet recovered, so he cannot turn into a dragon yet, but she will show them when he is well. Moen, looking at Leon, asks him to get better soon, to which he replies that he will try his best even though it's impossible. The family, surrounded by other dragons in human form, head towards the majestic gates of Heavenly City, and Rossweisse says it's time to go into town. They have business today. Moen, walking down the busy street of Heavenly City next to Noah, exclaims enthusiastically that there are so many dragons here while Leon and Rossweisse follow them, and Rossweisse asks her daughters to take their time. Leon, head down and fists clenched, looks depressed and gloomy against the starry sky. Rossweisse notices Leon's trembling, assuming this is his first encounter with so many dragons since awakening from his coma. With a slight chuckle, the queen leans over to Leon and asks if he is frightened, to which he remains silent. Leon's face lights up with excitement and he objects, Huh? Scared? I'm thrilled, okay? Leon's gaze slides over the crowd of dragons and he exclaims that first-class, second-class trophies are here at every turn and he's going to get rich. Rossweisse, putting her hand to her forehead, thinks she's been worrying about him for nothing while Leon, stretching, rapturously ponders how much money he'll get if he brings them all back. The bell above the wooden door of the photo studio jingles as it opens. A young dragoness staff member and an older woman greet them, saying, "Welcome, Your Majesty, the Silver Dragon Queen. It is our pleasure to serve you and your family." Moan and Noah, in their dressy dresses, excitedly point out the many pictures of dragons on the studio walls, while Leon and Rosweisa watch, and a female staff member smiles. Leon asks Rosweisa, "Aren't you the Silver Dragon Queen? Why did you personally come to the store to take pictures?" To which she replies that the Dragon King can only command his clan, and the dragons of Heavenly City do not belong to any clan. With a mischievous grin, Leon teases Rosweisa. "Your queen status is a bit low," wiping his nose with a large, perished man. Rosweisa, getting hit in the back with Leon's tail, cries out, "Ouch!" but declares that she's still taller than him. The elderly female photographer tells Rosweis with a smile that she is honored to take a family photo of the Silver Dragon Queen, and everyone says her photography skills are the best among the dragon tribe. A photo studio employee approaches Rosweisa, mentioning her husband's ponytail, and Rosweisa explains that he doesn't like to show his ponytail, so a ponytailless suit must be chosen for him. Leon adamantly refuses to wear the dragon tail jewelry, stating that he would never wear it even if he died, as it is tied to his dignity, while Rosweisa looks on with displeasure. The photographer, realizing, asks Rosweisa to come through and try on the clothes, while Moen and Noah excitedly shout that Moen wants a beautiful dress. A short time later, Muin and Noah, dressed in smart dresses, hold hands enthusiastically, glowing with joy. Leon, dressed in an elegant white suit, appears before Moen, who exclaims with admiration, "Wow, Daddy is so handsome!" The photographer tells Leon that the suit suits him very well, and it must have been very popular in the past, to which Leon, with mild surprise, replies that the last time he wore a formal suit was at his high school graduation. Leon, adjusting his vest, asks Noah how she's feeling. Noah, with a slight blush and a serious expression, reluctantly admits, "Yeah, you're pretty handsome." Leon, smiling, tells his daughters that their skirts are cute too, stroking them on their heads. Rosweisa appears in an elegant black dress with purple accents, and Moen excitedly exclaims how beautiful Mommy is. Leon's face expresses slight embarrassment and surprise at the sight of Rosweisa. Rosweisa asks what, and Leon, averting her gaze, replies that it's nothing and it suits her. Rosweisa remarks that it would be nice if Leon had a tail, to which he emphatically states that he will never wear a tail in his life. Moen and Noah, holding hands, call out to their parents to hurry over to the photographer, who already has his camera ready. The photographer, an elderly woman with glasses, says it's time for a picture and asks Her Majesty and the prince to come closer. Leon and Rosweisa, with disgruntled faces, reluctantly walk forward, and Leon mutters that he doesn't want to. The family poses for a photo, with Rosweis and Leon standing behind and Muin and Noah in front, holding hands as the photographer commands, "Smile, 3, 2. Two finished photos, one a general family photo, and the other a close-up of Moen and Noah hugging. Two photos capture Leon and Rosweisa. In one, her tail wraps around his neck, causing him to look surprised. In the other, they smile at each other, and the photographer notices that they do look like a couple. A memory comes to mind where young Leon, in an elegant suit, is surrounded by enthusiastic girls, offering gifts, a photo together, and inviting him to dinner. Leon, politely declining the offers, cites the need to help his master shoe a donkey, promising to give them attention another time. An image of a dressed-up donkey appears in the background. As Leon walks away, he leaves behind a crowd of disappointed girls with broken hearts, while an older man, probably a photographer from the present, perplexedly wonders if this guy got hit over the head with a donkey hoof. An employee of the photo studio informs Her Majesty that it will take about 6 hours to develop the photos, and suggests that in the meantime, Her Majesty take a stroll through the celestial city, with soaring islands and flying dragons as a backdrop. The family walks out of the photo studio, a female employee waving them goodbye while Moen and Noah look curiously around the street. Moen and Noah, holding hands, run merrily down a busy street in Heavenly City, and Moen suggests that her sister go see something interesting, dragging her parents along with her. Leon, walking beside Rosweisa, admits that he never thought he would be out shopping with her like this, finding it a new experience, to which she replies that it's for the sake of maintaining the family image, and praises him for Noah's diligent preparation, suggesting that he take some time off. Moen and Noah's eager eyes fixed on the window of the toy store, where an elderly salesman sits behind the counter and the shelves are filled with teddy bears and other fun things. Suddenly, Rosweisa and Leon look at something with expressions of alarm and surprise on their faces, exclaiming, at a counter with a shooting gallery game where the prizes are toys, the vendor notices that the girl was a little short, and she would definitely pop a few more, trying a few more times while Moen and Noah look on. Moen, noticing the shooting gallery, excitedly calls out to his father, pointing out the game, and Leon is surprised to note that there is such a shooting game here. Noah, turning away with a disgruntled look, thinks, can't hit, while Leon mentally chuckles that you can only make money in this game if you don't hit. Leon, holding a toy gun, remarks that he's seen others playing this at the human market, and Rosweiss explains that the bullets of this toy gun are made of magical energy, requiring precise control, which is really difficult for Noah. The peddler offers Leon and Rosweiss a try, promising a pair of dolls if they knock all the balloons down in 10 shots, and mentally pleased that he's purposely giving the kids a try in order to attract parents and make money. Leon, looking at his daughters, asks if they want those teddy bears. Noah states with crossed arms that she's not interested, and Moen adds that she doesn't want either, while Leon thinks understandingly, "Got it, that's what you wanted." Smiling, Leon asks the merchant for 10 shots, indicating that Rosweiss will pay, to which he happily agrees. Leon, holding a toy gun, thanks and remembers that he hasn't held a gun in a long time, the last time being at the Dragon Killer Academy, while Rosweiss and the merchant watch. 2 energy projectiles from a toy gun rush towards the balloon targets, causing a bright flash. The peddler, with a sly grin, thinks he's changed the settings of the gun to make it harder to hit while Leon takes aim. To the surprise of the merchant, who exclaims, "What?" Leon hits all the targets with apt shots. Leon, with a toy gun in his hand, modestly says he was just aiming and got lucky, while the merchant is perplexed as to how this is possible. Moen enthusiastically shouts that Daddy is great. Noah briefly remarks, "Apt," and Rosweiss says not bad with a smile. The peddler, admiring Leon's skill, hands him 2 teddy bears as prizes, asking him to take them and leave quickly, and Leon thanks him. Leon holds out the winning teddy bears to his daughters with a smile, and Moen happily thanks her dad, while Noah says, "Thank you," in a reserved way. Rosweiss, looking at Leon, reflects that although he's usually a bit out of sorts, there's a special charm about him every time he's serious. Leon looks at Rosweiss, who is perplexed as to why he's looking at her, while Moen and Noah hug their teddies. A little girl with white hair and red eyes sitting in the arms of a woman who looks like Rosweiss points to something and says, "Mommy, I want that too." Rosweiss, with a bewildered expression on his face, turns up with a large teddy bear in his hands. Leon laughs merrily, remembering the pitiful look on the unscrupulous merchant's face, and says he feels like he's gotten rid of his anger, while in the background the merchant is surprised that Leon is asking for 10 more shots. Turning to Rosweiss, who is holding a teddy bear, Leon remarks that if it were him, he'd advise them not to waste their time with this childish game, but since they're out, it's good that they're having fun. Crossing his arms over his chest, Leon asks Rosweiss if she likes the bear, adding that since she's here, he can't let her go empty-handed, to which she replies that she didn't say that. Rosweiss, cradling a teddy bear and blushing slightly, says bears are unpalatable food, but when they're made into toys, they're cute. Leaving and hugging the teddy bear tightly, Rosweiss tells Leon to come to her room tonight after dinner. Leon says, "Huh?" in surprise, looking at the city buildings against a sky with soaring dragons. The majestic castle is lit from within at night, its windows emitting a warm glow against the dark sky and mountains. Walking down the long, torchlit corridor of the castle, Leon ponders Rosweiss's invitation, anticipating that something must happen if he goes to her room late at night. Gritting his teeth against his inner torment, Leon agonizingly weighs the options. Go and feel awkward for one night, or don't go and agonize for a whole week. Determinedly clenching his fists, Leon cries out, "Damn, I'm going to fight her!" and rushes toward the massive door at the end of the hallway. Leon is surprised to find that the door to Rosweiss's chambers is unlocked. As he enters the luxurious spooge, he looks around, puzzled as to where the queen is. Hearing the sound of water, Leon realizes it's too early and she's still showering. Through the frosted glass of the shower cubicle, only Rosweiss's blurry silhouette is visible, and Leon notes to himself that the quality of the glass is not very good. Clenching his fists and gritting his teeth, Leon thinks with determination that he really has to do this tonight. He tries to calm himself down, telling himself, "Easy, Leon," as his internal tension builds. Suddenly, the shower room door opens and Leon peeks out from around the corner with a surprised exclamation. Rosweiss, clad in a light lilac nightgown, steps out of the shower saying, "You're here, let's get started." Leon anxiously wonders if he will be squeezed dry again. Rosweiss, approaching with a seductive smile, wondering where he would like to do it, in the living room or on the balcony. Leon, looking around the luxurious spooge, mutters that it would be awkward on the balcony if they were seen. Rosweiss, standing with her back to him and holding the scroll, replies that then in the parlor, it makes no difference where. With an expression of doom on his face, Leon shouts out, "Come on then!" The queen pushes Leon onto the bed and he cries out, "Ugh!" as he falls, perplexed as to what she is doing. Lying on the bed with a blush, Leon asks with confusion, "Ah? Isn't this what you wanted?" Sitting on the edge of the bed, Rosweiss, with his tail behind his back, notices that Mr. Cosmod looks unhappy, but today is not a good time, and suggests that they postpone it for another day. Leon, sitting up on the bed and coughing, perplexed, asks what it is, looking at the scroll that Rosweise has placed in front of him. He reads that these are test questions for families evaluated by St. Heath Academy regarding the habits, character, and experience of the partners. Rosweise explains that they need to prepare answers in advance so that Noah's grade is not affected if they are unable to answer the questions. Holding up a scroll with questions such as, what is your partner's favorite color, and what phrase does your partner say often, Leon notes that these are just boring questions from a couple's understanding game. Leon, holding a scroll, asks Rosweise what color she likes, and she replies black, wondering his preference, to which he says silver. In chibi style, Leon and Rosweise look at each other holding up their answers, with arrows indicating an exchange of thoughts or comparison. With a slight blush and in chibi form, they both simultaneously exclaim that it's just a coincidence. Rosweise offers to test how well they know each other, and Leon, sitting on the floor with a quill, agrees while 2 blank sheets of paper lie in front of them. An elegant wall candelabra with burning candles illuminates the room, and a little Shibileon exclaims, "Fixed!" Leon, pointing to the test results, 68 for him, 65 for her, brags that he knows the queen better, to which she snorts unhappily. Rosweise reflects with amazement that he has noticed even her small habits, such as how she likes to sit and comfortably place her tail, recognizing his observation. A close-up of her test shows the wrong answer to the question of whether her partner has ever disappointed her, and she thinks all the mistakes were in her guessing. With a wistful look, Rosweise admits to himself that he's always kept things to himself, so it's no wonder he's wrong in his guesses. Looking at Leon, who is still studying the scroll, Rosweise thinks hopefully, maybe with this man, I can... Leon, chibi-style, notices that Rosweise has been looking at him since he got a higher score and wonders if she's holding a grudge. Laughing, Leon tells Rosweise that they spent too little time together, so it's normal that she couldn't get a high score so quickly. With a soft smile, Leon asks Rosweise for Noah's sake to try to understand him a little better. A close-up of Rosweise's face is shown, her heart racing at his words and a blush flooding her cheeks. Rosweise, turning away and elbowing Leon, orders him to cut the crap and write down his correct answer as he lets out a suppressed groan. With a gramophone and bottles of wine in the background, Leon asks Rosweise if she was wrong about whether he ever disappointed her, to which she replies that if anything, there wasn't enough great dragon power last time, and Leon declares that from now on, he will eat great dragon power pills as food, and that she won't regret it, and Rosweise looks forward to it. The night before the entrance exam, Leon, holding up the score sheet, says that after a week of hard work, their average score on the test questions could reach over 60, and if they perform well, there will be no problem with the family grade, while Rosweise sleeps with her head in his lap and utters, eh. Leon, standing over a sleeping Rosweise, says that if there's nothing else, he'll go first. Rosweise's hand suddenly grabs Leon's vest, stopping him, and she utters, wait. Rosweise, awake and sitting at the table, asks, huh, in surprise, and then suggests that Leon take a bath in her bathroom and come back. Leon's wide-eyed, perplexed question, take a shower in your room? Rosweise decisively pushes him into the bathroom, ordering, just go and wash up when I say hurry up, to which he exclaims, hey! Nudging his muscular torso, Leon suspiciously ponders why she would want him to shower for no reason, and whether she's up to no good. Sighing heavily, he reassures himself with the thought that she's been very stressed over the last few days because of the entrance exam, so everything should be fine. Plunging into a hot bath, Leon decides that no matter what, he should just enjoy the moment first. Chibi-style, with a blissful smile, Leon exclaims, ah, it feels so good. Rosweise, wrapped in a white towel, enters the bathroom, and Leon, peering out from behind the edge of the tub, says her name in surprise. With a slight smile and a glowing purple dragon pattern on her chest, Rosweise says she's been feeling a lot of pressure the past few days, and she wants to... Leon, chibi-style, with an expression of anticipation and mild horror, thinks, what I've been thinking about has finally come to pass. Sitting in the bathtub, Leon indignantly asks Rosweise why she's pushing him when she's under pressure herself. Wrapped in a towel, Rosweise assumes with a playful smile that by transferring her tension to him, she can relax. Immersing herself in the bath, the queen reminds Leon that he himself came to her with a similar attitude a few days ago. Leon, embarrassed and sitting in the water, mentally recognizes that he has nothing to object to. Rosweise, finding herself in the tub with Leon, declares with a smile that he can't escape, and it's best to surrender while her dragon pattern shines. We have a majestic view of St. Heath Academy on the day of the entrance exams. Leon, in formal attire, looks around the St. Heath Academy, where they have arrived with Rosweise and daughters with surprise. In front of the dragon statue, Leon and Rosweise stand silent, their gazes staring ahead. With a sly chuckle, Leon wonders to Rosweise if the effects of yesterday's stress relief have passed too quickly, causing her to blush in annoyance. While Leon laughs merrily and offers to go, Rosweise, standing behind him, whispers, "Go to hell," to him. Inside the academy hang banners with coats of arms, among which a banner with a silver dragon stands out. The academy employee behind the front desk announces, "Noah K. Melkwe, Silver Dragon Clan." Noah stands at the counter with a serious face, and the employee is surprised to read her age on her form, 1 year and 3 months? Leon, being nearby, wonders what's up and if there's a problem, to which the employee replies that she's just a little surprised. With a smile, the academy official explains that although the minimum age for admission is 1 year old, children between 4 and 6 years old are usually admitted, and asks if their princess is too young. Rosweise, standing next to Noah, confidently states that Noah is very smart, there is nothing wrong with her age, and they respect her ideas. Understanding, the staff member asks them to go inside, informing them that a special staff member will take Noah to the written test, and the accompanying parents will need to go up to the 4th floor for a family assessment. The sign "Conference Room 4th Floor" indicates the location of the next stage. In a spacious conference room, Leon and Rosweise sit on a couch across from 3 examiners, while a female employee with a ponytail stands nearby. Rosweise, nestled against Leon with a smile, wondered in a whisper how he felt about the 3, whether they were easy to deal with in his experience. Leon, in his chibi uniform, replies in a whisper that the one in the center looks easy to kill, and before his capture he would have handled him in 50 rounds, while the 3 examiners, 2 elderly men and 1 elderly woman, sit across from him. Leon, in chibi form, gritting his teeth and radiating murderous intent, whispers to Rosweise that if they dare keep Noah out of the academy, he'll meet them with a sword, while the examiner thinks what an imposing parent. An elderly examiner with a monocle introduces himself as Walter Wilson, the St. Heath Academy vice principal in charge of their evaluation today. Walter asks them not to be nervous and just relax while answering questions. Leon and Rosweise politely agree, though Leon mentally notes that this old man looks uneasy and hopes nothing strange happens. Examiner Walter, looking at them over his glasses, wonders if they remember the date of their wedding anniversary. Leon and Rosweise exchange tense glances, realizing that the issue has indeed come up. Flashback. Rosweise, in her nightgown, sits on her bed among her papers, asking Leon how they should answer the anniversary question, since they are not officially married and she got pregnant before the wedding, to which Leon replies that if one were to choose a day that left a deep impression, this would be the one. In a continuing reminiscence, Rosweise names the year as 1733 on the creation calendar. Leon and Rosweise, smiling, answer the examiner in sync, May 25th, and Leon mentally adds that it was the day he and Rosweise bonded in the dungeon. Examiner Walter, stroking his beard, notes that the child is already over a year old after less than 2 years of marriage, and this progress seems faster than normal families, to which Leon, in chibi form, cheerfully replies that they fell in love at first sight, had a good relationship, married quickly, and got pregnant. Walter Wilson continues the questioning by asking if they have discovered any faults or bad habits in their partner during their 2 years of marriage. Leon and Rosweise simultaneously answer yes and no, while Leon thinks the answer must be a mixture of truth and lies to be believable. The examiner asks Leon, "What is it?" and he replies that sometimes it feels like it doesn't exist. With enthusiasm, Leon declares that his wife is very capable, doing a great job with the family and household chores, while the chibi Rosweise looks at him with bewilderment. He continues that she is easily stressed, and he wants to take this opportunity to tell her that he wants to do more for the family and for her to rely on him without being overstressed in the future. The female examiner, referring to Rosweise, notes what an attentive and good husband he is, and asks what Rosweise finds most attractive about her spouse. Rosweise, blushing slightly, lists his virtues: handsome, with a good figure, focused, serious, intelligent, not nerdy, responsible, loves children, and does not lose his temper. She adds that although her health is not as good as it was before she was married, it is not a big problem as her husband is also good at making medicine and uses all sorts of remedies to cure her, to which Leon mentally asks if she is praising him or insulting him. Rosweise, taking Leon's hands in hers, says she also wants to take this opportunity to tell her husband not to overstretch himself. Their hands clench tightly with a bright flash, and the little chibi Leon in the corner screams. The 3 examiners look at them in a doting manner, and one of them utters, "What a loving couple." In the spacious conference room, Leon and Rosweise's tense interview with the 3 examiners continues. Examiner Walter wonders if they have any questions for each other at the end of the interview, emphasizing that they need to answer truthfully. With a satisfied smile, Rosweise declares that she has no questions for her husband since she knows everything about him. Leon, looking thoughtfully at Rosweise, mentally asks her not to procrastinate and to finish her assessment faster, because the more you talk, the more mistakes you make. Suddenly, Leon asks Rosweise if she likes the teddy bear he gave her. Rosweise, confused and surprised, is perplexed as to why he would ask such an unrelated question, noting that his thoughts always amaze her. With a slight blush and a flirtatious look while fixing her hair, Rosweise admits that she really likes the teddy bear. Leon, with a relieved smile and clapping his hands, utters, "Okay, I'm fine." The examiners announce the end of the interview, announcing that the results of the evaluation will be sent to Silver Dragon Castle by dragon letter in a few days, and thanking them for their cooperation. A few days later, a red dragon mailman with a tube on his back flies in through the window, and Muen joyfully shouts to his sister that the dragon letter has arrived. Leon, Rosweise, Moan, and Noah gather around the table, and Leon offers to see what's in the tube. Holding an official letter bearing the St. Heath Academy crest, congratulating Noah K. Melqui on passing his exams and inviting him to the admissions ceremony. The faces of Leon, Rosweise, Moen, and Noah express surprise and joy as they read the words enrolled and passed. Moan and Noah happily hug while holding the letter, and Moan exclaims that her sister and parents are amazing. Leon, rubbing his nose in embarrassment, thanks Rosweise, who replies that it's not her, but Noah, who deserves to be her daughter. Rosweise announces with a broad smile that she will throw a big feast in honor of the occasion and invites Leon to help so that no one will say as if he is not in the family, to which he replies that she is very petty and always holds a grudge. The majestic building of St. Heath Academy appears against a backdrop of mountains. The sign reads, St. Heath Academy Admission Ceremony. Walter Wilson, vice principal, wearing an academic robe and cap, gives a speech congratulating everyone on their enrollment and welcoming them to the ceremony. Numerous dragon families, parents, and children in school uniforms gathered in the hall, listening intently to the speech. Walter Wilson continues his speech by noting that among the new students are many who have excelled academically, and the Academy believes that only harmonious families can raise such students, so they invite these families to share their experiences and asks to welcome one of the top freshman students, Noah K. Melqui, and her family to the stage. Moon excitedly exclaims that Mom, Dad, and sister are coming on stage while Silver Dragon's maid Anna confirms her words. Leon, Rosweise, and Noah, holding the hands of their parents, walk up on stage to applause as they head toward the podium. Leon is bewildered when Walter Wilson informs him that an hour ago, Noah received the highest score, and they, as the family ranked first in the evaluation, are to give a speech. Standing at the podium with Rosweise and Noah, Leon thinks with a strained smile that since the speech suddenly happened, all he has to do is pull himself together and do it. Walter Wilson addresses Noah, noting that she is the youngest candidate but received the highest score and wonders what experience she wants to share with everyone. Noah begins her speech by saying that her mother is a very powerful dragon and she wants to become just as strong, and that her mother supported her decision to go to school. Moen, with folded arms and shining eyes, listens as Noah thanks her for her continued support as well, expressing her appreciation. Leon looks at Noah anxiously and hopefully, wondering if she will mention him in her speech. Noah, with a serious expression on her face, states that what she wants to thank most of all is her father, who helped her study for the exam every day and often stayed up late to prepare the materials, and because of him, she is standing here. Tears come to Leon's eyes as he hears Noah's words, and he says her name in a raspy voice. After finishing her speech, the girl with the ponytail thanks the audience while standing at the podium. An elderly man with glasses and a smile suggests that Mr. Leon show his fatherly love by kissing his grateful daughter. Mr. Leon turns on the provost in horror, fearing that the ceremony will turn into a scene of patricide. Leon's inner monologue reveals his surprise, for Noah had never before allowed him to even touch himself. In a whisper, Leon suggests Noah just cuddle if she's embarrassed by a public kiss. Noah, with a determined look on his face, rushes him to end this socially suicidal ceremony with a kiss. Leon, stunned by Noah's words, looks at her in surprise. Making up his mind, Leon kisses Noah gently on the forehead to approving looks. Little Princess Muen is in the audience loudly proclaiming that she wants to kiss her sister too, while the maid tries to hold her back. The white-haired character is relieved to think that this ordeal is not his to endure, while Leon stands behind an embarrassed Noah. Walter Wilson, standing on stage alongside Leon, Rosweise, and Noah, states that superior dragons never forget to be grateful to their family, and the way the Melqui family gets along with each other makes them feel what a true family should be. The examiner reminds Leon that he kissed his daughter, and as the paragon of a loving couple, he can't forget his wife, causing Leon and Rosweise to exclaim, "Huh?" in shock. Leon, clenching his fist, thinks angrily that this old dragon is going too far, and he should have killed him on assessment day while Rosweise stands nearby, turning away. However, Leon reflects that this is Noah's most important entrance ceremony, and he, Leon, has been through many battles, so he won't be intimidated by such a small scene while Noah looks on. Turning to Rosweise, Leon says with a smile, "Come, my dear wife, We are the happiest and most harmonious family, aren't we? To which she whispers a perplexed, "Wah, what?" And Noah looks at them. Roswisa asks Leon in a whisper if he really wants to kiss her in front of hundreds of dragons, to which he replies that Noah and Moen are watching, and asks her to play along while Moen is in the audience watching with rapt attention, and Roswisa thinks how awkward it is. Roswisa ponders that although they've spo-gibed together and held hands, they've never kissed except for that one time 2 years ago, and wonders why he's so calm, as if she's the only one nervous as their faces come closer together. Resolved, Roswisa utters, "Ah, never mind," and their lips almost touch. Leon kisses Roswisa gently on the cheek, and she, with eyes closed and blushing, lets out a quiet exclamation. Roswisa, confused and surprised, looks at Leon, who is holding her, and utters. Roswisa touches his cheek in embarrassment and says thoughtfully, Leon, bowing to the audience on stage, announces, "That's all I can do, all," while shouts of, "Why don't you two kiss?" and "One more kiss" come from the audience. In a whisper, Leon says to a surprised Roswisa, "It feels good and relieves stress." Roswisa is furious, thinking, "This guy, how dare he use me to relieve his stress? If it weren't for so many people, I'd have him pinned to the ground." Walter Wilson thanks the model families for their laughter and joy, asks them to come down and rest, and then announces, "Next up," as Leon, Roswisa, and Noah stand on stage. Outside the academy building, Leon, Roswisa, Moen, and the maid say goodbye to Noah. Leon says, "Then we're ready to go. We'll pick you up next weekend. Take care, Noah," to which she replies, "Uh-huh, I will, Mom." Moen hugs Noah, saying, "Moen wants to be with Sis," and Noah replies, I'll miss you." Leon gives Noah a long list of admonitions about food, study, and health, to which he replies, "You know, I'm not a kid anymore." Leon, pointing to a turned-away Roswisa, tells Noah that her mother said those words when she was drunk and was embarrassed to say them in person, so he passes them on, and Roswisa mutters, "Bullshit." With a determined look, Leon instructs Noah, "If you meet classmates with bad temper, stay away from them, but if they dare to bully you, just fight back. Your dad will back you up." Noah curiously asks Leon if he committed similar acts at school, to which he answers in the affirmative, adding that after every fight, his teacher, her grandfather, took him home and punished him. Leon, with Moen hugging his leg, confidently declares to Noah that her father won't beat her for such a small thing. With a determined look on his face and clenched fists, Noah replies, "Yeah, I'll remember that." The Queen's study in Silver Dragon Castle appears before us, flooded with warm lamplight, with bookcases and a desk littered with papers. Roswisa, immersed in her reading, ponders the blood curse, a once-in-a-lifetime forbidden magic where blood serves as a medium and the price is the life of the caster. With a sly smile and a thoughtful look, the Queen suggests that if this curse is perfected, it could be an interesting way to entertain. Hearing footsteps, Roswisa looks up from her book, her tail moving slightly, and she asks, "You're back?" Shirley, a trusted maid of the Silver Dragon clan, appears in the doorway and respectfully addresses the Queen. "Her Majesty." Roswisa inquires of Shirley about the progress of the investigation, and the maid regretfully reports that no trace of Tiger Lawrence and his wife has been found in the Empire. They are Propagibi. The Queen, sitting at her desk, interjects with surprise, "Propagibi?" while Shirley explains that the information was erased very carefully and her subordinates were unable to trace their whereabouts. Roswisa, with a serious expression on his face, notes that Leon said his mentor was just a regular old man from the farm, but now it seems it's not that simple. The Queen orders Shirley to continue investigating, ensuring her own safety, and to report any news immediately, to which the maid replies, "Yes, Your Majesty." On the training ground, Leon demonstrates with a battle cry of "Ha!" as he strikes with a long pagala that emits a blue glow. Leon, holding the pagika, urges Moen, "Come on, hit the pagika hard like I do," and the girl enthusiastically replies, "Yes." Moen, with a battle cry of "Ha-ya-ya-ya-ya-ya-ya," furiously waves the two parishes while Leon watches her bewilderedly. Roswisa, accompanied by Shirley, approaches the practice area where Leon and Moen continue their practice, archery targets visible. Moen, spotting his mother, exclaims joyfully, "Ah, it's Mommy!" as Roswisa and Shirley approach. Roswisa, crossing his arms over his chest, turns to Leon with a slight smile. "Oh, you're back from your rounds?" To which he replies briefly, The Queen, hugging Moen, asks with a smile if she obeyed Daddy today, and the girl happily replies that Moen is obedient now, and Daddy even taught her how to hold a sword. Roswisa, with a soft smile, says to Moen, not bad. We'll be having dinner soon. I asked the chef to cook a steak. Go change your clothes first." Moen is thrilled at the prospect of steak, her eyes shining and hearts and stars all around. Shirley takes out Moen, who hums happily about the steak, leaving Leon and Roswisa alone. Rosweise, with a surprised and slightly confused expression, utters, "Then you—" A sudden burst of energy or sound effect surrounds Rosweise, her eyes wide with surprise. With a slight chuckle, Rosweise asks Leon if he has finally decided to attack her at Silver Dragon Castle, reminding her that doing so is punishable by death. Leon, holding an ordinary branch in his hand, asks in bewilderment if the queen calls it a weapon. Rosweise notes with challenge that in the hands of the strongest dragon slayer, even a branch can be a deadly weapon. Leon exhales with relief, as if releasing the tension. Crossing his arms over his chest, Leon asks Rosweise with a smile why she is so sarcastic if she wants to praise him, to which she indignantly denies the praise. Leon, putting his hands behind his head, says with a chuckle that he wanted to scare her, but it's pointless if she's not afraid, and Rosweise replies that he doesn't think as if he could hurt her with a branch in his current state. Rosweise reports in chibi form that Noah texted yesterday, she's doing fine, and asked not to worry, with a sunset target practice area in the background. Leon, sitting on a bench next to Rosweise against the backdrop of the sunset, asks in surprise, "What, that's it?" And the queen explains that it is rare for Noah herself to write to report her well-being. With his eyes closed, Leon notes that this is true, and in this Noah is very much like Rosweise. Rosweise, sitting on the bench, says that Noah always has a stern face, and it's hard to guess her thoughts. But if you find the right approach, she's very pleasant to get along with while Leon, hands behind his head, listens. Covering her mouth with her hand, the queen adds that Noah actually admires Leon, as she has the typical dragon mentality of admiring the strong and striving for strength, and now he is the best student in her eyes, so she will strive to beat him at the academy. Leon thinks with a smile that he thought he was just a weak nerd in her eyes while Chibi Noah appears in the background, calling him a fool. Taking off her shoe, Rosweise recalls that when Leon first woke up, Noah avoided him, but actually visited him often during his coma, and when she was spotted, made up the excuse that she was going to Moen's, and laughs that she got that character trait from Leon too. Sitting on a bench and adjusting his stocking, Rosweise continues that when they were little and cried, no one could comfort them. But as soon as they were placed next to Leon, they immediately calmed down, suggesting that blood ties bound them together before he even realized it. A flashback shows Leon sleeping in a bed with two babies, Moen and Noah, lying next to him under the covers. Leon puts his hand to his chin and says thoughtfully that blood kinship is a bit strange, as he is an orphan and has never known the love of his parents, not understanding what familial affection is. A lone boy sits with his arms around his knees, his sad reflection visible on the dark surface below. Leon recalls being adopted at the age of 5 by his mentor and his wife, who, despite having no blood relation, treated him as their own son. Having found a semblance of home for the first time, he nevertheless sometimes felt a sense of loss in his heart as he watched the scene of a child joyfully shouting, "Daddy, Mommy," while sitting on his father's shoulders beside his mother. A close-up of young Leon's face expresses wistfulness as he thinks, "If only my mentor and his wife were my real parents." The foster mother, gently stroking Leon's head, tells him that in the future he will be someone's father, to which he interjects with childlike surprise, "Daddy? Really?" Looking at Rosweise, Moen, and Noah standing in the sun-drenched, flowery meadow, Leon recalls his foster mother's words that his future children will be more precious to him than blood relatives, and he will love them, protect them, and give everything for them. With determination in his gaze and a clenched fist, Leon confirms to himself, "Yes, they are now my dearest family members." Rosweise, approaching Leon, interrupts his musings, asking him what he was daydreaming about and reminding him that it's time for them to head back. Looking away embarrassed and thanking Rosweise for her words, Leon offers to walk back with a nervous chuckle. Rosweise's graceful legs in white stockings can be seen as she sits on the bench, her shoes close together and the tip of her ponytail curving gracefully. Rosweise, sitting on a bench, asks Leon with a sly smile to help her put on her shoes as a thank you, to which he asks, "What?" in surprise. Leon's face expresses extreme bewilderment, surrounded by question marks, and he utters, "Huh?" An indignant Leon recoils, flatly refusing to help Rosweise with her shoes, exclaiming, "Huh? Help you put your shoes on? No way!" Pointing at Rosweise, Leon angrily reminds her that he has already humiliated himself by washing her feet, and now she demands to put on her shoes, questioning whether he has any dignity. Rosweise's foot slaps Leon's face with force, and she rebukes him for not yet paying for the kiss at the ceremony, and he can't even help her with her shoes. The queen, perched imperiously on the bench and showing off her bare feet, orders him to stop talking nonsense and finish so they can go back. Leon, with an expression of resignation, reluctantly puts the shoe on Rosweise's foot, muttering, all right, I'll put it on." With a chuckle, Rossweiser remarks that despite his reluctance, he's getting by pretty quickly, to which Leon quips that putting shoes on her is a lot easier than shoeing a donkey. The queen's face contorts with rage, a vein swells on her forehead, and she exclaims. Rossweiser tries to kick Leon with a leg kick, but he dodges it, and the dodge sign emphasizes his agility. Running away, the chibi-uniformed Leon teases Rossweiser that she won't catch him, while the latter, clenching her fist, warns him that he won't be happy tonight. A few days later, Rossweiss and Leon are standing on the lawn, and Moen is waving his arms joyfully, shouting, "Come here, come here!" A huge dark dragon appears in the sky, and Moen looks up excitedly while Leon and Rossweiss watch. Leon notes with admiration that this dragon, Leviathan, is several times larger than Rossweiss's transformed form. Rossweiss explains to a surprised Leon that the giant dragon Leviathan is not very strong, but because of its endurance and stable emotions, it usually serves as a transporter in the dragon clan. Leon hesitantly interjects, "Emotionally stable?" when Leviathan emits a beam of light, and Rossweiss explains that Leviathans never lose their composure, which is why the Academy uses them to transport young dragons. Noah, in his school uniform, sinks smoothly to the ground in a pillar of blue light. A close-up of Noah's face, she announces with shining blue eyes, "I'm back, Mom!" Moen rushes to hug Noah, joyfully exclaiming how much she missed her sister while Rossweiss greets her daughter and Leon watches. Noah, with a slight blush and clenched fists, hesitantly tries to address Leon. Pa... And he mentally notes that this child is not yet used to calling him father. Leon, smiling, tells Noah he's glad she's back, and he and his mother cook many of her favorite dishes as the whole family walks to the castle gates. Noah's exam sheets lay on the table, showing top marks in Fundamentals of Alchemy and Mechanics, Introduction to Magic, Young Dragons Edition, and History of the Dragon Clan, Volume 1 for Young Dragons. Rossweiss grinned, and Moen looked at Noah's results with eyes wide with surprise. Noah, holding up her grade sheet, regretfully reports that in her last subject, Comprehensive Physical Education, she only scored 95 and did not place first. Rossweiss reassures Noah by saying there's no need to apologize, it's already impressive, and Moen excitedly adds that in her heart, her sister is the best. Leon thinks with a smile that of the two of them, one is bad at expressing emotions and the other is too rambunctious, so he, as a father, has to take on that role. Looking over Noah's PE grade sheet, Leon notes that running, bench presses, and pull-ups are basic physical training, and it's normal that her scores are a little worse than 4- or 5-year-old dragons. Pointing to another sheet, Leon proudly informs Noah that she has won 9 out of 10 actual combat matches, showing the highest winning percentage in the class, indicating her superior strategy and combat skills. Noah, with a disgruntled expression, mutters that she heard from her mother as if her father was the best student in all subjects at school, and she doesn't need to worry about third place, as there will be plenty of opportunities to surpass them in the future. Leon explains with a smile that when he first entered school, he was not first in his class, but later achieved first place through hard work and perseverance. Leon encourages Noah, saying that she still has plenty of time and one mistake shouldn't discourage her. He believes she can do better. To which Noah replies, I see. Moen curiously asks who would win if Daddy, so strong, fought Mommy, causing Leon and Rossweiss to wonder. Chibi-style, Leon and Rossweiss simultaneously and enthusiastically exclaim "me" while pointing to themselves. Leon and Rossweiss in their chibi uniforms look at each other in bewilderment, uttering, "Huh?" Laughing and pounding his chest, Leon boasts that in his martial training, be it hand-to-hand combat, gunfighting, or magic, he was unrivaled. Rossweiss, sitting on the couch, remarks with mild disdain that while she doesn't have as many Academy Awards as he does, she only wins key battles. Leon and Rossweiss argue vehemently. He claims that she married him and captured him because she couldn't win, and she parries that her victory in the dungeon is the reason they got Moen and Noah. Leon, warming up, suggests that Rossweiss come out and fight, saying he's wanted to demonstrate this for a long time, while Moen and Noah watch anxiously. Moen excitedly asks if they're really going to fight, and Noah offers to follow them and watch. Leon and Rossweiss are warming up on the training ground, preparing for battle, while Moen and Noah peek at them from behind a wooden fence. Moen, with a bucket of popcorn, tells Noah that she's very curious about who's stronger, Daddy or Mommy, and that the teacher said that watching masters fight helps improve fighting skills. With a slight smile, Rossweiss remarks to Leon that, come to think of it, his body probably hasn't recovered enough to fight her yet. Leon, adopting a fighting stance, replies defiantly that there aren't many opportunities to fight the Silver Dragon Queen, so he should certainly take them. Rossweiss, with a sly smile, offers Leon a wager, to which he asks with interest what they will bet on. A close-up of Rossweiss's eyes is shown. She announces that if he wins, she won't touch him for a month, and if she wins, he will have to fulfill one of her requests. Leon, with a determined expression on his face, thinks he doesn't know what perverse demands she'll make, but as long as he wins. In his imagination, the little angel Leon trumpets his horn, and he thinks with delight that he can easily take a month's vacation, which under ordinary circumstances he would not have dared to dream of. Pointing to Rosweise, Leon enthusiastically accepts the bet. Leon and Rosweise's faces parted, and they said with anticipation, "Then let's begin." Leon and Rosweise stand across from each other on the training ground, ready for battle, Rosweise shrouded in a light glow. Moen is excitedly holding a bucket of popcorn and a glass of beverage as he watches the upcoming fight. The sudden jerk causes the pineapple juice cup to fall, and Moen cries out, "Ah!" Leon and Rosweise's gazes meet, full of determination and anticipation for the fight. A chibi-clad Moen laments the spilled pineapple juice, exclaiming, "My pineapple juice," while in the background the blurry silhouettes of Leon and Rosweise start moving, and she decides to forget about it. Leon, shrouded in a blue glow, rushes in to attack, striking from above. Leon's fist meets Rosweise's fist, creating a bright flash of energy at the point of impact. Rosweise gracefully dodges Leon's blow, her tail flickering in a swift motion. Leon performs a backflip, evading the attack of Rosweise's tail, which is shrouded in a purple glow. Leon's black-gloved hand touches the ground. Raising a cloud of dust, he stabilizes after dodging. Rosweise blocks Leon's powerful leg kick, their powers colliding, creating a bright energy blast. Rosweise dodges swiftly, leaving behind a trail of blue energy attacks in the sandy arena. Close-up of Rosweise's determined face, she recognizes his superior physical skills and decides to keep her distance. Leon notes with a chuckle that Her Majesty, surrounded by a purple aura, doesn't seem to be burning to engage in close combat. Jumping back, Rosweise declares that the most important thing is to defeat him and unleashes several purple energy projectiles. A powerful blast of purple energy shakes the ground where Leon had just been, who manages to dodge. Moen anxiously asks if Daddy is going to lose since he keeps running away, while Noah analytically comments on the tactics of the fight. Noah, with popcorn in his mouth, concludes that this shows his mom's lack of confidence in defeating him in close combat. Moen exclaims admiringly how much her sister knows, to which Noah replies that it was taught to them by the teacher in class. Surrounded by raging purple flames, Rosweise defiantly suggests that Leon try to get closer to her. Dodging purple energy attacks, Leon defiantly declares that he is not only fast but strong. Rosweise, gathering purple energy in her hands, exclaimed defiantly, "So what?" Leon, while dodging two pillars of purple flames, exclaims. A powerful blast of purple energy shook the ground, raising clouds of dust. Surrounded by blue lightning bolts, Leon grinningly yells at Rosweise for being too slow. Rosweise, looking at Leon using thunder magic to enhance his body, thinks, "No one can..." Leon yells with rage in his eyes that his month's vacation has been taken away from him. In a swift attack, Leon, shrouded in lightning, unleashes a hail of blows on Rosweise, which she reflects with a golden glow. Rosweise, with determination on his face, notes that his magic power has not yet recovered, and using thunder magic to such an extent is absurd, calling for the fight to end sooner rather than later. With a confident smirk on his face, surrounded by blue discharges, Leon announces that he has found his chance. Leon lands a powerful leg kick, causing Rosweise to recoil and lose his balance. Rosweise lets out a suppressed groan of "Ugh!" her face contorted with pain and annoyance. Leon, surrounded by blue lightning, exclaims with a triumphant smile, "I won!" Losing her balance, Rosweise cries out as Leon rushes towards her for the decisive blow. Leon's black-gloved hand swiftly grabs Rosweise's wrist, stopping her fall. Pulling Rosweise to him, Leon wraps his arms around her, their bodies close together. "Their faces are very close," Rosweise says embarrassedly. "Leon," and he looks at her with a slight blush. Suddenly, Leon is surprised to notice Rosweise huddled against him, saying, "Dragon flame." Purple flames erupt on Leon's chest, and he screams in panic, "Ah, I'm burning!" A close-up of Leon's eyes is shown, and he says, "Huh?" in bewilderment. Leon, touching his chest where the flames had just been, is surprised to note that it's not very hot, while Rosweise reminds him that the battle isn't over yet and can't be distracted. Moen and Noah run up to their parents, and Moen curiously asks who won in the end. Leon, clutching his throat, admits he was careless and lost this time. Rosweise acknowledges Leon's strength, saying that without armor or weapons he was able to defeat her in physical combat, something no one has ever done before, to which Leon objects that if he fought at full strength, he would definitely defeat her. With a sly smile, Rosweise reminds Leon that since he's admitted defeat, he shouldn't forget about their bet. The two perdicts symbolizing the wager strike Leon, and he recalls with horror, blood spurting from his nose. In chibi style, Moen asks her mother if her dad is dead, who lies unconscious with his soul out, while Rosweise reassures her, saying that he's just overworked and will come to his senses soon. At night, with Silver Dragon Castle in the background, Leon instructs Noah to take care of Muen, and Muen to obey her sister. Muen and Noah, in their nightgowns, sit on the bed, listening to their father's instructions. Leon, wiping away a tear, laments that he's most worried about them, since they're only a year old and how their mother could have taken him. Noah is perplexed to notice that he's only spending the night in his mother's room, and asks why he's making a tragedy out of it, as if he's going to an execution. Leon, with horror on his face, explains to Noah that the execution on the scaffold is a momentary thing, and her mother could torture him all night, which is much worse. Muen, with wide-open blue eyes, excitedly suggests that Mommy wants to eat Daddy. Pointing to the image of mantises in the book, Muen tells Leon that after mating, the female mantis eats the male, and he is perplexed as to why Muen is so happy to be eaten. Rosweise, in a seductive nightgown, orders Leon to stop bullshitting her daughters like she's so scary. With a smile, Rosweise tells her daughters to go to bed, assuring them that she just wants to discuss some interesting things with Daddy tonight. Muen and Noah, lying in bed, list possible interesting things. The birth of the universe, the birth of life, the mysteries of the world. And Leon suggests that it is the mystery of the human body. A chibi-clad Rosweise drags a stubborn chibi Leon behind her, saying enough goodbyes and it's time for him to follow her, while he asks her to wait to say her last words. Leon shouts after his daughters that Daddy will always love them, and Muen asks Noah what Mommy and Daddy are going to do, to which she replies that she doesn't know, and let them, naive adults, figure it out for themselves. In the Silver Dragon Castle Queen's Spogibion, there are 2 bottles of wine and glasses on the table. Rosweise, sitting in an armchair with a glass of wine, asks Leon if he would like a drink, to which he, arms crossed, decisively replies, no. Rosweise looks at Leon with a glass of wine in her hand, her gaze pensive, and a multitude of dots above her head. The Queen, in a seductive nightgown, reminds Leon of his loss and his promise to fulfill her request, surprising him by his refusal to drink. Leon, looking away embarrassed, says he's not thirsty right now and mentally decides to keep his sanity and not fall for her tricks. Rosweise, holding her glass, admits that she was actually really hoping he could win. Leon, with a surprised look on his face, interjects, "What?" The Queen, standing over Leon, explains that if he had won, she would have given him a month off to recover, and perhaps then it would have been more fun. Crossing his arms over his chest, Leon asks with irritation why she doesn't just admit defeat to him today. Rosweise, intercepting her glass from Leon, says no, she's figured out a better way. A close-up shows Rosweise tilting the glass and the red wine begins to pour out. The Queen pours wine on his chest, stating that what she likes best is the way he refuses to admit defeat after losing to her. Leon, lying on the bed, asks Rosweise with surprise and indignation what she is doing as she lifts his shirt. With a seductive smile and wine flowing down her chest, Rosweise orders Leon to drink. Leon, looking at Rosweise, thinks that her fragrance, mixed with the smell of red wine, creates a truly... He swallows, recognizing that this scene is so beautiful that it's impossible to refuse. Rosweise cradles Leon's head against his wine-stained chest and he begins to drink. With her eyes closed and blushing, Rosweise lets out a low moan, "Ah," as Leon drinks the wine from her body. Leon, embarrassed, asks Rosweise if this is normal while she looks at him with a slight blush. With a sly smile, Rosweise declares that this is certainly not enough. A close-up of Leon's face is shown. He is looking open-mouthed at Rosweise, who orders him to open his mouth. A drop of wine drips from Rosweise's lips. She looks at Leon with anticipation. Leon is horrified to realize that Rosweise is biting his neck, exclaiming, "Blood!" Rosweise, in a nightgown, sits on Leon, who asks perplexedly, What are you doing?" Rising to his feet, Leon exclaims anxiously, "That feeling. You used that forbidden technique on me?" Rosweise, half lying seductively on the bed, confirms with a sinister smile, "Yes, Blood Curse, you're familiar with him, aren't you?" A close-up shows Leon's eyes, now blazing red with a pattern, indicating the effects of the curse. Clutching his chest, Leon moans, "Ugh, why?" As Rosweise explains that she's missed that feeling ever since he used that forbidden technique on her 2 years ago. With burning red eyes, Leon angrily asks Rosweise if she knows the price of this forbidden technique. Rosweise reports with a confident smile that she has modified the spell slightly to minimize the effects of the blood curse on the dragon's body, retaining only its enchanting effect. Leon is breathing heavily, his body trembling, and he utters, "My body burns, but my mind is empty." Rosweise's hand gently touches Leon's arm, and she remarks, "I was always the one who forced and threatened you, and you always seemed so reluctant." Leaning into his face, Rosweise whispers that she now wants him to beg her like a rabid dog to make love to her. Leon, looking up from below at Rosweise, who announces the game with anticipation, hears her call him her delightful captive. Breathing heavily and clutching his chest, Leon, drenched in a blush, is clearly under the powerful effects of the curse. Rosweise, leaning over him, notices with a chuckle that he is almost losing control of himself and wonders if he can see what he looks like now, to which he shakes his head negatively. Rosweise's graceful hand summons a gold-rimmed magic mirror shrouded in a violet glow. Showing Leon his reflection in a magical mirror, Rosweise explains that it is an artifact from the Celestial City capable of recording images for a short time. Looking at his reflection, Leon, with a blazing blush and clouded eyes, struggles to utter that he wants to, kiss. A close-up of Leon's blazing red eye is shown, reflecting his inner struggle and the effect of the curse as he utters wrong. With a sly grin, Rosweise interjects what he said and asks him to repeat it louder. Leon, with burning eyes and an expression of desperation, blurts out that he wants to kiss her, Rosweise mentally cringing that clearly that wasn't what he was going to say. Rosweise, touching Leon's chin, tells him with a sneer how embarrassed he is, since he has abandoned his principles and humbly asked for a kiss from his enemy. Leon's face floods with color when Rosweise declares that she won't give him a kiss. His red eyes widen in amazement, accompanied by a clicking sound effect. Leon, unable to contain himself, topples Rosweise over on the bed, screaming her name. He breathed heavily, hovering over her, his gaze fixed on her as she lay beneath him. Rosweise, with shining pink eyes and a seductive smile, remarks that it is very uncharacteristic of him to be so impatient. Leon, with a flaming face and eyes full of desire, kisses her hand and admits that he wants to kiss and hug her. Leaning closer, he whispers his desire to be one with her, while Rosweise thinks with realization that this is how she took initiative under the influence of the blood curse. Close-up of Rosweise's face, she smirks, thinking, Leon, there you go. When their lips are almost touching, Rosweise says with a triumphant smile, well, you asked for it yourself. Rosweise, looking at Leon, utters, Leon, let me see your true face after the fall, while through the window you can see their silhouettes in a passionate embrace. The majestic silver dragon castle shines under the clear sky, symbolizing the past night. Rosweise's long silver hair is scattered across the pillow. She is sleeping peacefully. Leon wakes up abruptly with a cry of, "Ah!" finding himself in bed next to a naked Rosweise. Clutching his head, Leon exclaims with annoyance, "I died again last night!" Propping his head up with his hand, Leon bitterly reflects that the blood curse had made him put aside his pride and beg her for intimacy. Clenching his teeth, he thinks this is another humiliation that crosses all boundaries. Rosweise, sleeping peacefully, looks defenseless, and Leon thinks she, as the culprit, had a great time and fell asleep. Leon's hand gently touches the sleeping Rosweise's face. He notes her defenseless look. A close-up of Leon's eyes is shown. He exclaims, "Shit!" in panic. Leon, embarrassed, wonders what he is doing and how he could have unknowingly touched her face. Trying to justify himself, he convinces himself that he just wanted to wake her up, with no other intentions. He is perplexed as to why Rosweise is unresponsive, and whether she is pretending to be asleep. Leon touches her cheek lightly, urging her to stop pretending to be asleep. A close-up of Rosweise's face, she is still asleep, and Leon asks her to get up, reminding her of her usual self-discipline. Crossing his arms over his chest, Leon wonders why she's not awake yet, and if she's under the influence of a blood curse. He recalls that the power of the spell depends on the physical state of the caster, and when he himself used it while on the verge of death, he slipped into a coma for 2 years, suggesting that Rosweise, being a healthy dragon queen, would be in a coma for about a week. Rubbing his chin thoughtfully, Leon utters, looking at the sleeping Rosweise. With a sly smile, he decides this is the perfect opportunity for an escape. Opening a dresser drawer, Leon ponders that a normal person won't get far in a week, but things are different when wearing black gold armor, and finds a bunch of keys and vials. Leon, holding the potion vial, thinks with a confident smile that the potions and stamina recovery pills, if he runs at full speed, will help him return to the human world. Standing at the bedside with a sleeping Rosweise, he gloats that by the time she wakes up and discovers he's missing, it will be too late. Close-up of Leon's face, laughing loudly, anticipating his escape. His laughter falters and an unsure expression appears on his face as he says, "Ha!" Leon, with his head down, looks depressed against the blue background symbolizing his inner struggle or doubts. His hand reaches for the bunch of keys and the vial in the drawer, and he ponders that it's been 2 years since he left the Empire, and he doesn't know what the situation there is now. In front of the ominous silhouette, Leon thinks with a serious look that there were many questionable points in his captivity back then, and it would be risky to return recklessly, so it would be better to be cautious. Looking wistfully out the window, Leon remembers that he's already asked Rosweise to investigate his mentor's current situation, so perhaps he should wait for news. A close-up of Leon's face, he says with a slight smile, "The most important thing is..." Against the backdrop of the castle, Muen, in a developing white haori, runs forward, shouting to her sister to catch a butterfly, while Noah, with arms crossed, asks her to slow down and not fall. Looking at the smiling Moen and Noah, Leon thinks he can't leave them now. With a satisfied smile and arms crossed, Leon reflects that it looks like he still has to stay in Silver Dragon Castle. Standing with his arms crossed by the bed where Rosweise sleeps, Leon continues his thought. After all. A slight determined smile appears on Leon's face as he thinks, I haven't gotten my revenge yet, have I? A close-up of a sleeping Rosweise is shown, and Leon's mental exclamation, Rosweise, is heard. Rosweise, slightly sweaty, continues to sleep in her lacy nightgown. Moen and Noah, peering over the edge of the bed at the sleeping Rosweise, anxiously ask if Mama is all right, for she's been asleep all day. Noah suspiciously asks Leon, who smiles embarrassedly and scratches the back of his head, what he did last night, to which he nervously replies, ah ha ha ha, well. A close-up of Noah's face expresses disbelief as Leon continues to make excuses that they were chatting on the balcony last night, and maybe Rosweise caught a cold from the cold wind. Leon, looking flustered, turns to the maid Anna, saying that it's no big deal, right, Anna, while Moen and Noah look on. Anna, the maid, assures me that the court physician has examined Her Majesty, and, except for a slight weakness, all is normal. Leon, somewhat surprised, allows Anna to take care of business while she informs him that she will take over the running of the clan in the Queen's absence. Moen, snuggled up to a sleeping Rosweise, whispers for her mother to get well soon, promising never to make her angry again. Leon, in chibi form, looking thoughtfully at Noah, wonders why Rosweise is sweating so much and asks for help wiping her off later. Noah asks Leon with a suspicious look in his eyes if he's up to something while Mom is unconscious. Looking at Noah, Leon assures her that she's overthinking things and he just wants to take care of her mother, to which the girl replies that's fine. Noah takes Moen away, offering to come back and visit her mom tomorrow, and Moen promises to come. Moen, waving from behind the door, says goodnight to Daddy, and Leon says the same back to her. Standing at the bedside with a sleeping Rosweise and rubbing his chin thoughtfully, Leon utters, next. Rosweise, still asleep and slightly sweaty, lies in bed and Leon decides he should get a basin of water. Hands wring a white cloth over a wooden basin from which drops of water drip. Leon places a damp cloth against the sleeping Rosweise's forehead, explaining that he's afraid she might catch a cold and asking her not to misunderstand him when she wakes up. Standing by the bed, he notices that normally she always shows off her big tail, but right now she's so weak that even her tail isn't visible. A close-up of a sleeping Rosweise's face, and Leon ponders whether she should change her clothes after he wiped her down. As he opens the closet doors full of clothes, he is thrilled to think that there are so many outfits and he can dress her to his liking. Leon's hand reaches for a purple strapless dress, black stockings, and a bow. He lists, open-shouldered, deep neckline, bow, black stockings. Rubbing his chin thoughtfully, he ponders finding similar styles of clothing. But what about the deciding lugs? His hands gently run through Rosweise's long silver hair, and he thinks he might be able to braid her hair. With a satisfied and slightly embarrassed smile, Leon utters, "Hehehehe, done!" Rosweise lies on the bed in a seductive bunny costume, black bodysuit, stockings with white ears and cuffs, and Leon announces, limited edition Rosweise bunny girl costume. Leon, blushing, admits to himself that he didn't expect how well the outfit would suit her. Suddenly, the dragon pattern on Leon's chest flashes with a bright purple light. Clutching his chest, Leon exclaims in panic as to why the dragon pattern suddenly glowed just now. A flashback shows Rosweise explaining that when one dragon mark bearer feels desire for another, the mark reacts. Chibi-style Leon panics with angel wings and screams, "No, no, no," denying such thoughts of Rosweise in his sober mind and blaming it on the bunny girl costume. Leon, with his eyes closed and his arms folded, tries to calm himself by repeating 3 honors and 3 shames of a dragon slayer 10 times, listing them off. The purple glow on Leon's chest fades away and he exhales in relief, thinking it almost happened. Looking at a sleeping Rosweise in her bunny costume, Leon thinks it would be a shame not to capture such a rare moment. Chibi-style, Leon remembers that Rosweise seems to have had a home camera, and a light bulb goes on above his head. Leon begins to search Rosweise's room, rummaging through her things by the bed and dressing table. Leon's hand clutches the camera he found, and he says with satisfaction, "Ha! Found it!" Several Chibi Leons are taking pictures of a sleeping Chibi Rosweise in a bunny costume from all sides, and he gloats, "Ha ha ha ha! And you've lived to see the day, Rosweise." Chibi Leon, holding the corners of the sleeping Rosweise's lips with his dead lips, makes her smile for the photo, saying, "Come on, wifey, smile." With a determined look, Leon, holding the camera, vows that he will definitely help her keep those compromising photos properly. Rosweise, in her bunny suit, eyes ajar and lets out a quiet groan. Ugh! Chibi Leon panics, camera in hand, exclaiming, "Shit, is she waking up?" Rosweise, in her bunny suit, is once again sleeping peacefully while Leon, standing over her, watches the hieroglyphics meaning silence. With a relieved hand to his chest, Leon exhales. Phew, it was a false alarm. With the night castle as a backdrop, Leon decides it's best to change into her regular pajamas and carry out the next phase of his revenge plan tomorrow. The next day, Moen runs joyfully down the castle hallway, calling to Noah, "Sis! Sis!" Noah, with arms crossed, asks a panting Moen what happened and asks her to speak more slowly. Moen, holding a broken Rubik's Cube, tearfully explains that her cube broke and she wanted to ask her daddy to fix it, but she couldn't find it anywhere. With a look of concern in her eyes, Noah wonders if he ran away while their mother was unconscious. Moen, taking Noah's hand, asks him not to worry and offers to go look for him together. Two girls, Moen and Noah, run down the long, light-filled hallway of the castle, calling, "Daddy, where are you?" In the luxurious, gold-lit hall, the girls continue to call out for their father. Looking into the spoo-gibbon where Rosweisa is sleeping on the bed, Noah states that he is not here. The girls look into the other room, and Noah again says he's not here either. Moen, peering into a large wooden barrel, calls out in surprise, "Daddy!" Noah, with drops of sweat on his face, is perplexed as to how he could have ended up there while Moen looks curiously at the barrel. Moen, with big blue eyes and a worried expression, asks if her daddy is lost because she can't find him anywhere. Noah, with his arms crossed and a serious look, tells Moen that some people are very nice, but sooner or later they leave, like last time. Moen, with a surprised expression and perished at his chin, interjects, "Like last time?" Noah, looking thoughtfully to the side and putting his perdition to his chin, utters, "If I'm guessing correctly." In the background of the castle, Leon leaps over a stone wall and Noah concludes that the man is gone. Noah reflects that she has always sensed something amiss in her family, outwardly harmonious but in fact full of falsity, in the background of the family portrait where Rosweis and Leon stand behind Moen and Noah. She recalls that for as long as she can remember, that man has been spooged in the room, and her mother told them he was their father, in front of a sleeping Leon, watched by little Noah. Noah goes on to recall how one day he finally woke up, but immediately thought about running away. His mother returned him without explanation, and he hasn't tried to escape since. But Noah doesn't think he wants to stay here of his own free will, amidst Leon running away and Noah watching him. Later, in her recollection, he began to intentionally get close to her and please her, teaching her and acting like a good father, in the background of Leon talking to Noah. Noah wonders if it's really because of his love for her, or if it's just his plan to take advantage of their relaxed vigilance and secretly look for an opportunity to escape, against the backdrop of Leon's brooding face. Noah ponders that if there are unknown factors behind the love, she would rather not have that impure love than become a tool in someone else's hands, with the backdrop of Leon and herself looking in different directions. Looking at Leon's departing silhouette, Noah thinks he's a stranger here, and sooner or later he'll leave them and go away. Moen tearfully yells that Mommy won't wake up and Daddy doesn't want them anymore, and asks his sister what they should do in the future. Noah, comforting a crying Moen, says it's okay, and her sister will protect her. Moen, sobbing, hugs Noah, who tries to comfort her. Noah, with a determined look, offers to arrange a farewell ceremony for the man. At the same time, at the back mountain of Silver Dragon Castle, there was a picturesque alleyway strewn with pink petals of flowering trees. Leon, holding up the map, notes with a smile that the scenery here is indeed beautiful, and the maid did not deceive him. A flashback shows Leon asking the maid Anna if she knows where Her Majesty the Queen likes to go, explaining that she wants to take a walk today. Anna offers to send someone to accompany the prince, but Leon, holding up the map, refuses, saying he can go himself, and asks her to just mark the spot on the map. Leon, standing amidst the cherry blossoms with a map in hand, reflects that his movements are usually limited, and only now that the dragoness is unconscious does he have the opportunity to explore his surroundings and prepare a surprise for her awakening. With a sly smirk and a clenched fist, he thinks that exploring the dragoness's favorite spot is just a cover, part of his revenge plan. In front of a huge flowering tree, Leon makes plans to take advantage of the dragoness's weakness when she wakes up and make her experience humiliation in her favorite place, similar to what she did to him in front of his hometown. Appraisingly touching the trunk of the tree, he notes that it is quite thick. He imagines a scene where he presses Rosweisa against a tree, finding this pose perfect. His boot treads on the petal-strewn ground, and he decides that the soil isn't soft enough, so it would be nice to cover it with petals when the time comes. Looking at the Silver Dragon Castle visible in the distance, Leon notes with satisfaction that he can see it well from here. Making notes on the map, he adds this place to his list, which already lists a woodland stream, a northern cliff, a golden plain, a secluded cave, and a cherry forest. With a satisfied smile and a map in hand, Leon concludes that everything is ready. All that's left is to wait for Rosweisa to awaken. A close-up of his eyes expresses anticipation, and he mentally gloats. "Hey, hey, dragoness, you'll be in trouble this time!" In the courtyard of Silver Dragon Castle under the night sky, Leon watches the weeping maids by a large fire. Approaching the sobbing maids, Leon wonders in amazement what is going on and why it is so lively. One of the maids, with tearful eyes, explains that the two princesses wanted a funeral and asked for a bonfire to be prepared. At the table next to the blazing fire, Moen tearfully offers a steak, begging for someone to come back and visit them. Noah, holding the box, tells Moen that the man is already gone, and they just need to let him go. Leon, scratching the back of his head, assumes they're playing some new game and decides to play along with them a bit. With a sly smile, Leon approaches the maids, who shriek in fright upon recognizing the prince, and asks to be released. Turning to his daughters, Leon asks who they worship, and mentions that his grandfather once taught him how to play the swona, offering to show him how it's done. On a table decorated with flowers and lit by the flames of a fire, Leon sees his portrait and exclaims with surprise, "Oh, that's me!" Looking at his portrait, Leon notes with a satisfied smile that he looks quite attractive. Leon exclaims in utter bewilderment, Why?" when he sees his portrait on the makeshift altar. A chibi-style Muen with shining eyes and hearts all around, happily wishing Happy Valentine's Day. Chibi-style Noah, holding a book, also wishes Happy Valentine's Day, albeit with a more subdued expression. Rosweise, with a slight blush and fixing her hair, embarrassedly said, "Happy day, Valentina." Moen and Noah, upon seeing Leon, exclaim with consternation and surprise, "Ah, Daddy's here." Leon, turning to his daughters, wonders with a smile if they were too hasty in giving him a funeral, since he was only away for one day. Moen, with tears in his eyes, utters, "Daddy." Moen rushes to Leon, crying and exclaiming, "Boo-hoo! Daddy's back!" as he stares at her bewildered. With tears in her eyes, Moen admits that she thought it was as if Daddy didn't want Moen anymore. Leon, gently hugging Moen, calms her down, asking her what nonsense she's talking about and how Daddy could not want her. Noah, holding the box, explains to Leon that he and Moen have looked for him several times in the castle, but haven't found him and she thought he had left, to which he laughingly replies that he was just taking a walk in the mountains today. A close-up of Noah's face, she remorsefully thinks she was wrong about him. Leon, holding Moen in his arms, tells the maids that everything is fine and they can go home. Moen, pointing to the table of food, asks Leon hopefully, now that he's back, if she can eat his offerings, and he stammeringly agrees. The girl happily runs to the food table, and Leon thinks that Moen is definitely not like him since she's so greedy. Noah, standing next to Leon and holding the box, asks him to warn them next time he goes out alone, to which he says, "Huh," in surprise. A close-up of Noah's face, she explains that Moen was worried about him. Leon, with a smile and a hand behind his head, apologizes for making Moen worry, thinking to himself that this kid was obviously worried about him, but too embarrassed to say it out loud. Noah, averting her gaze, admits that it was her fault anyway. She didn't trust him. Leon, with a surprised and slightly embarrassed expression, looks at an apologetic Noah. Noah, standing back, ponders if this farewell ceremony was because of her misunderstanding, and that no one would have known if she hadn't said anything. Leon thinks with a slight smile that precocious children always take responsibility and admit mistakes, but this mistake happened because he failed to give her enough sense of security. Holding the tiny Noah figurine in his hands, Leon reflects that she longs for affection and love, but won't make the first move. And even if he promises now, she's unlikely to believe him. Clenching his fist, Leon decides that, like her father, he can only slowly prove his intentions with practical action. After stroking Noah's head, Leon says it's okay, offers to go out to dinner together, reminding her that she has academy tomorrow, and promises to always be there for her. The next day in the Queen's Spogibbon, Moen, sitting on the bed, looks at the sleeping Rosweise. A close-up of Rosweise's eyes is shown, and she lets out a quiet groan of, "Ugh!" Rosweise opens her eyes, and Moen exclaims joyfully, "Mommy, you're awake!" Moen, with tears in her eyes, tells her mother that she was Spogiba all the time, and Moen was very worried about her. Rosweise, with a soft smile, apologizes to Moen for making her worry. Rosweise, lying in bed, notes that the body cannot manifest its power, and the magical power in the body is unresponsive. She ponders that her Dragon Queen body could resist the side effects of the blood curse, but now it is weakened, perhaps because she used it to save Leon earlier. Moen, sitting next to him, thinks that judging by his character, he's probably already escaped. Rosweise asks Moen how long she's been Spogiba, and the girl replies, 2 days, as the Queen looks around the room. With his eyes closed, Rosweise thinks that he couldn't have run far in 2 days, and there is still time to send someone to catch him, and then offers Moen a fish for dinner. Leon suddenly appears, proudly displaying a huge fish, and announces that he has just caught it in the back hills, to which Moen joyfully exclaims, "Yay!" Leon, laughing, asks Moen if her daddy is awesome, and the girl enthusiastically agrees while Rosweise stares at them in surprise from under the blanket. A close-up of Leon's surprised face is shown when he notices that Rosweise is awake. Leon greets Rosweise by saying, "Yo, you're awake," and she peeks out from under the covers and asks where he's been. With a wink, Leon replies that he just went to the back hills for some fresh air and caught a fish for his dear wife to strengthen her body. Rosweisa, embarrassed in bed, asks, "What? Who is your darling?" While a chibi-shaped Moen encourages his father not to be shy. Leon, holding a huge fish, assigns Moen the glorious task of carrying the fish to the kitchen. Moen, with shining eyes, confidently replies, "Trust me on this, Daddy." Leon, escorting a glance at Moen, who happily takes the fish away, tells her that he and her mom have things to do, and she can have dinner first. Rosweisa, peeking out from under the blanket, admits to Leon that she thought he was going to abandon their daughter and run away while she was unconscious. Taking off his glove, Leon replies with a smile that there are still many unresolved issues between them, so why would he run away? Rosweisa's face expresses surprise and slight bewilderment as she asks what's between them. Leon reminds her with a sly smile what she did to him when he first woke up over a month ago, to which she interjects, "What did I do before?" Rosweisa's eyes widen at the sudden realization, and she asks anxiously, "You mean?" Leon, with a sly smile and a sinister glint in his eyes against the violet glow, confirms, "Yes, exactly as you thought." Rosweisa, covered with a blanket in bed, cautions Leon not to attack her in her weakened state, advising him not to take rash action. With anger on his face, Leon reminds her how she did to him when he was weak, not even giving him a sip of water before carving a dragon pattern on him and possessing him, questioning if she gave him a chance to say no. Rosweisa's gaze is full of determination as she warns him of the consequences of his actions when she will regain her strength and not to do anything he will regret. Approaching her, Leon says with a smile, "Regret? No, my dear wife." Lifting Rosweisa in a light nightgown into his arms, Leon declares that this is the best decision he's ever made in his life. With a confident expression on her face, Leon announces that this time it's her turn to be a POW. Leon carries Rosweisa in his arms through the cherry woods on the back hill, despite her screams demanding that he let her go. Holding Rosweisa in his arms, Leon asks her not to move or she will fall. Rosweisa, with her face contorted with anger, declares that if she had already regained her strength, she would have beaten this guy to a pulp. Against the backdrop of a majestic blossoming cherry tree from which the petals are falling, Leon continues to carry Rosweisa. Rosweisa, sitting on a petal-strewn bed beneath a cherry tree, asks Leon perplexedly why he has brought her here. Leon, with a smile and a raised deadpan, explains that while she was unconscious, he had thoroughly researched the places she usually likes to visit, and this is their first stop tonight. With anger on his face, Rosweisa interjects, "First stop? You mean you're taking me somewhere else?" Pointing to a castle visible in the distance, Leon asks if she can see it, noting that it is her castle and there is a beautiful view from here. Rosweisa asks suspiciously if he wants revenge for what happened in his hometown, remembering how he said she brought him there to make him realize the shame. Unbuttoning his shirt collar, Leon confirms with a chuckle that doing unto others as they have done unto you is not only the prerogative of dragons, and a dragon pattern flashes across his chest. Rosweisa watches in amazement as an answering dragon pattern flashes on her chest as well, accompanied by a sound effect. Leon, standing over Rosweisa, who is struggling to breathe as she touches her glowing pattern, declares that although he is human, he too has a strong sense of revenge and ritual. Approaching Rosweisa and grabbing her chin, Leon advises her with a sly smile to look closely. Pointing to the castle, he reminds her that her castle is there, and all her pride and dignity comes from there. With a slight blush and compressed lips, Rosweisa declares that all he can do now is let her manipulate him. Leon, pushing Rosweisa, wonders with a chuckle how she feels about being humiliated by a defeated dragon slayer. Leon's face moves closer to Rosweisa's neck, and he breathes heavily, reminding her that she's done all of this to him before. Bending beneath him, Rosweisa thinks she wants to resist, but her body can't help but want more. Opening her eyes, she thinks, in that case. Rosweisa's tail, shrouded in a purple glow, wraps around Leon, who looks on in surprise. A close-up of Leon's face expresses bewilderment as he asks, "Tail?" wondering where she got her powers from. Rosweisa, sitting with his back to Leon, defiantly suggests that while he is still in control of the situation, he should try to make her feel shame and reluctance. With determination in her gaze, Rosweisa declares that she will take even more brutal revenge on him afterward. Leon, with a chuckle and a glowing dragon pattern on his chest, replies that she should not tell him about the future, for he always lives in the present. Under the canopy of a huge tree, against the backdrop of the night sky and the castle, the scene unfolds, accompanied by the words, "The night is still long, and the carnival of revenge has only just begun, Your Majesty." The next morning, the Silver Dragon Queen's lavish spooge, complete with fireplace and exquisite clock, is before us. Leon, relieved to be sprawled out on the bed next to a sleeping Rosweisa, utters, "Phew, I'm finally back." A close-up of Leon's face as he reflects on how exhausted he is from dragging her around all night, illustrated by a map of their movements. The sleeping Rosweise looks peaceful, and Leon surmises that she seems quite content this evening since she is sleeping so soundly. With an expression of bewilderment, Leon wondered, wait, satisfied? Didn't I come here for revenge? Gritting his teeth, he convinces himself that she has just fully experienced the humiliation of being defeated by the dragon slayer she despises most. Looking at the sleeping Rosweise, Leon concludes that, in any case, his revenge has succeeded this time. Leon decides to return to his room before the maids wake up, noting that they are not in the right relationship to sleep in the same bed before dawn. Rosweise's hand suddenly grabs Leon's clothes as he tries to get out of bed. Leon utters a bewildered, huh? When Rosweise, without opening her eyes, lets out a quiet groan, ugh. Covering her mouth with her hand, Rosweise complains, so cold, in her sleep, and the text explains the instinctive desire of living beings to seek warmth in their sleep. With determination on his face, Leon mentally convinces himself not to fall for her tricks anymore. His hand, however, reaches for Rosweise's arm, and he utters to himself, but... Leon gently takes Rosweise's hand and pulls her closer, covering her with the blanket. Finding himself next to Rosweise under the same blanket, Leon thinks it will be warmer here than going back to his cold room. Through the window, you can see two cute, cooing birds on a branch drenched in sunlight. Moen, wiping her tear-stained eyes, anxiously wonders why Mom isn't awake yet. A girl with a plush shark under her arm runs toward the bed, calling out, "Hey!" Moen, gently shaking Rosweise by the shoulder, asks her mother to get up, reminding her that the sun is already setting. Rosweise, still sleepy and covering her mouth with her hand, mumbles to Moen to go play with Daddy. Moen, walking up to a sleeping Leon, wakes him up by telling him that the sun is already shining on his ass. Leon, without opening his eyes, replies that it's so warm and asks to let him sleep some more. With puffed cheeks and clenched fists, Moen angrily looks at them while uttering, "You two..." The girl complains that they are hugging so tightly, and then who is Moen to play with while Leon gently hugs Rosweise, their bodies showing red marks. Moen wistfully notes that this is the first time he's seen his parents so affectionate, but she peers curiously at the numerous red spots on their bodies, puzzled as to where they came from. After blessing himself with a hunch and imagining a large mosquito, Moen exclaims that it must be insect bites. Remembering his mother's admonition, Moen, wagging his little dragon tail, decides to apply the bite medicine. She gleefully shows off a jar of 10,000 dragon ointment meant for mosquito bites, to improve blood circulation and reduce swelling, exclaiming, "Found it." Moen, with a jar of ointment in his hand, proudly declares that he will take care of them while his sister is not around because she is so capable. Moen diligently applies green ointment to Leon's back, telling him to put more on his dad while Rosweise, also covered in ointment, watches. After a while, Leon slowly opens his eyes, letting out a quiet groan, and someone calls his name, asking him to wake up. Upon awakening, Leon is perplexed and asks why his face is wet, looking at Rosweise sitting next to him. Chibi-style Leon and Rosweise, both covered in green ointment and surrounded by little yellow chickens, sit under a blanket. Leon, pointing to his smudged face, laughingly asks Rosweise what's wrong with her face as she stares at him in silence. Moen proudly explains that she did it. She saw that Daddy and Mommy had been bitten by insects and had lots of red spots, so she helped them apply the medicine. Rosweise, coughing, talks about the red spots, and Leon, covering his mouth, remarks that there are some things children are better off not knowing. Moen, with shining eyes and clenched fists, excitedly asks if she's awesome, expecting praise. Leon, with his face smeared with green ointment, gently strokes Moen's head, agreeing that she did a great job. Moen, standing between Leon and Rosweise, covered in green salve, cheerfully declares that he will help Mommy and Daddy apply it next time, and advises them to lock the door next time. A hand holds a bowl of rice garnished with vegetables and pieces of meat. The character means, to serve. Leon holds out a spoonful of rice to Rosweise with his mouth open, offering her something to eat. Rosweise, in a lilac nightgown, asks Leon with surprise and slight irritation what he is doing. Leon, sitting next to Rosweise on the bed, explains that he will feed her, as she hasn't eaten in days and must be hungry, despite the dragon's ability to go without food during hibernation. With a slight pout of her lips, Rosweise says he doesn't have to feed her, she can eat on her own. A close-up of Rosweise's face, she admits, with closed eyes and a slight blush, that the taste is not bad. Leon, with a satisfied smile and a spoon in his hand, declares that of course it is fried rice, which he has prepared with love. Rosweise, sitting on the couch, takes the rice bowl away from Leon, indignantly asking why he is eating by himself if he made it for her, to which he replies that he is afraid she might not finish it and will help her, but she demands another bite. Hands holding an empty bowl with a wooden spoon, the characters mean clean. Leon, standing by Rosweise's bedside, reminds her how he took care of her while she was weak, bathing, cooking, and feeding her. Rosweise asks indignantly whether he means torture after a bath or torture in bed after dinner, noting that it came down to one thing. With a smile, Leon objects that this is not torture, but the loving care of her husband. Leaving and waving his hand, Leon warns Rosweise that every cheap prank she pulls will be a humiliation he'll remember her for in the future, and wishes her a good morning. Rosweise clenched her fist and gritted her teeth, thinking with anger that this damn dragon slayer really knows how to torture her. In a rage, with a shout of "Hmph!" she delivers a powerful punch with her fist that emanates purple energy waves. Rosweise's blow leaves cracks in the wall, purple sparks flying around. Peeking out from behind a pillar, Rosweise stares in amazement at the result of his punch. With an expression of bewilderment and putting a hand to his chin, Rosweise realizes, my power has returned. In the kitchen, someone in blue gloves is diligently washing dishes in the sink, humming hum ham 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 ham, hanton, and rubbing sounds of scrub 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 can be heard. Leon, in apron and gloves, washes the dishes, thinking with a chuckle that Rosweise should not recover too quickly, as he wants to torture her for a few more days without realizing the seriousness of the situation. The majestic castle appears under the night sky, lit from within, and someone utters, "I beg your pardon, your majesty." Anna, a maid with a tray containing a cup of medicine, informs Rosweise, who is reading a book in bed, that it is a liquid medicine prescribed by the doctor to restore her strength. Rosweise, peering out from behind the canopy of the bed, says that her body has recovered and it's not necessary to drink while the maid places the cup on the table. The maid Anna looks at the large crack in the wall with astonishment, uttering, "Your Majesty, it's..." Rosweise, in chibi form, nonchalantly replies that she just didn't calculate the force and will have someone fix it tomorrow, to which Anna, in chibi form, agrees. The queen, sitting in bed with a book, calls out to the departing maid, "Wait." With a slight blush and a sly expression, Rosweise asks the maid not to tell Leon that she is recovering, as she wants him to take care of her for a few more days. A close-up of Anna's maid's face expresses mild surprise and bewilderment. The maid Anna, with an understanding smile and covering her mouth with her hand, replies, "Good, I understand." Rosweise, with book in hand and a sinister grin, thinks, Leon, your good days are over." 2 days later, Moen runs up to Leon in the courtyard, begging him to teach her what makes his body glisten. Leon clarifies if she means magic, and Moen enthusiastically confirms that it's what she and her mom used to do on the training ground. With surprise, Leon asks Moen why she suddenly wants to study magic. Moen, clenching her fists, explains that her sister has learned a lot at the academy and she doesn't want to fall behind. Smiling, Leon asks if she really wants to learn something, and Moen nods readily. Leon reflects that the advantage of 2 children at home is the competition between them, and Moen, who loves her sister so much, certainly doesn't want to fall behind her. With enthusiasm, Leon announces that he will definitely teach Moen magic, starting with simple magical instruction, and the girl thanks him. After a while, Moen clenched his teeth and closed his eyes, breathing heavily while concentrating. After just a few hours, Moen was able to successfully channel the magical power in her body, and Leon thinks that maybe she will soon be able to gain magical enlightenment and awaken her original magical power. Leon wonders in amazement if Moen is a genius for mastering the basics so quickly. Moen, with a pitiful look, tells her father that she is hungry and has no strength. Leon, with a smile, advises her to take her time. He announces that that's it for today and they go out to eat, to which Moen happily exclaims that Daddy is the best. The maid Anne brings Rosweise, lying in bed, a bundle, saying it is what Her Majesty asked to be found, and the queen tells her to put it aside. Leon runs into the room, cheerfully greeting his wife, and Rosweise thanks Anna for her hard work, dismissing her. Leon, putting his hands behind his head, thinks that according to Anna, Rosweise will need 5 days to fully recover, so he still has time to torture her. With enthusiasm, Leon offers Rosweise a massage if she feels discomfort anywhere today. Rosweise wonders with a sly smile why she wouldn't want to see the might of the Empire's strongest dragon slayer today, and isn't that all he's capable of since it's only been 2 days? Leon, with annoyance and a smile, interjects what she said. Leon, clutching the edge of her nightgown, turns to Rosweise defiantly. "Hey you, dragoness." Rosweise, sitting on the floor in her nightgown, says she wanted to let him go today, seeing his fatigue, but seemed too worried. Grabbing her chin, Leon grinningly wonders since her mouth is so tight, her body must be tight too. Leon, naked to the waist, declares to Rosweise with a confident smile that she will regret it. A close-up of Rosweise's face with a sly grin, she replies that she's never regretted it, and Leon says, in surprise. Suddenly, Rosweise's tail, shrouded in a blue glow, wrapped around Leon's waist. Leon's face contorts in shock and surprise as the queen's tail clutches him. Rosweise topples Leon onto the bed with force with his tail. Hovering over Leon, pinned by her tail, Rosweise snorts, noting his considerable strength. Leon, lying on the bed, realizes with horror and asks, "Rosweise, have you recovered?" With a sly smile, Roswisa puts her protege to her lips and orders her captive, her prized dragon slayer, to be silent. On a wooden tray shrouded in a blue glow lay metal shackles, a whip, and a glowing blue sphere on a cushion. Leon, lying on the bed, realizes with horror when she had time to prepare all this. The metal shackles clamped forcefully around Leon's wrists, and he wondered anxiously if he was climbing into the tiger's jaws. Shackled hand and foot with his eyes blindfolded with a black blindfold, Leon lets out a suppressed groan. With a sly smile, Roswisa advises him not to even think about resisting. Leon, blindfolded and with drops of sweat on his face, asks desperately if she is trying to torture a confession out of him. Sitting on the bed, shackled and blinded, Leon declares to the dragoness that he has undergone professional interrogation training and will never give in to her while she, holding up a glowing orb, asks with a chuckle, "Oh, really?" A bright light emanates from the blue orb, and Leon's contorted face screams out his desire to kiss Roswisa. With an expression of despair and a blazing blush, Leon mutters, this, and begs, "Please, let me." Roswisa, with a slight smirk, looks at Leon with a blindfold on and asks who it is that is begging her so much. Chibi-style Leon, blindfolded and shackled, embarrassedly mumbles Roswisa's name and the words, it's... Leon, blindfolded and shackled, points to the glowing orb in Roswisa's hand and yells that it can't be him, it just sounds similar. A close-up of Leon's blindfolded eye reflects the glowing blue orb as Roswisa grinningly offers to show him up close. Chibi-style Leon, blindfolded and shackled, screams that he wants to kiss Roswisa, hug her and become one with her. Leon, blindfolded and shackled, waves off Roswisa holding the orb and yells that no thanks, he remembers everything. Roswisa's hand takes the whip from the table. She pronounces that he now remembers everything. Roswisa, whip in hand, with a slight smirk asks him to repeat what he just said several times. Roswisa's whip touches Leon's chin, and she offers to remind him if he doesn't remember clearly. The silhouettes of Leon and Roswisa can be seen outside the door. The sounds of whip blows and Leon's exclamations of "ugh" and "whoa" can be heard. The table lamp emits a soft light, creating a late evening atmosphere accompanied by a quiet humming sound. Leon, completely exhausted, lies in bed under a blanket, his face expressing devastation, and the caption "boo-hoo" emphasizes his depressed state. In the light of the full moon, Roswisa stands at the window reading a letter just delivered by the Red Dragon, while Leon watches her from the bed. With concern in his voice, Leon, still lying down, wonders if the letter is from the Academy and why it was delivered so late, wondering about the reason. Roswisa's face is serious when she informs them that the Academy is asking them to report tomorrow. Jumping out of bed, Leon exclaims, "Huh?" in shock upon hearing from Roswisa that Noah had gotten into a fight with someone. Noah stands in Provost Wilson's office in her school uniform, her face darkened and expressing displeasure. 3 of Noah's classmates, with obvious signs of beatings, bruises, and a bandaged hand on one of them, stand with a guilty and slumped look. Provost Wilson, sitting in his office, addresses Leon and Roswisa, explaining that he has invited them to resolve the conflict arising from Noah's fight with her classmates, who are also present. Roswisa's gaze is intense as she looks intently at the provost, clarifying, "Provost, you mean..." Roswisa, shrouded in flames, angrily questions if these 3 young dragons have joined together to hurt her daughter, while one of them screams in terror. Leon anxiously examines Noah, asking if she's hurt anywhere, to which the girl with her arms crossed replies that she's fine. Provost Wilson clarifies that it was actually their daughter who beat the 3. Roswisa interjects with surprise, "Oh, is that so?" looking at the crying and battered dragonlings. Noah is chibi-style, with his arms crossed, standing next to a surprised chibi Leon. Leon, with a proud smile and a big dead man raised up, praises Noah, saying she's worthy to be his daughter. Well done. Fixing his monocle, Provost Wilson notes that while this incident was just a small fight between young dragons, it also touched on the conflict between cocoon-born dragons and live-bearing ones. The illustration shows the 2 ways dragons reproduce: birth from a cocoon, egg, and live birth, explaining that adult dragons do not differ, but there are differences in abilities at a young age. It is explained that cocoon-born dragonborns inherit strength directly from their mothers and have advantages in physical fitness and talents, while live-born dragonborns need to grow and learn before they can master strength, and within the same age group, the strength of cocoon-born dragons is higher. Provost Wilson, looking at Noah, notes that although she is a live-bearing dragon, this girl was able to single-handedly defeat 3 cocoon-born dragons that were several years older than her, and she has a bright future at such a young age. A man with red hair and an elegant suit declares that he heard his son beat someone up, it doesn't matter, and he will pay all medical expenses. The same man exclaims in shock, looking at his battered son with a bruise on his cheek, "Son, how did you get beaten like that?" The crying red-haired boy throws himself into his father's arms, screaming, "Daddy, wah!" Rosweiss whispers to Leon that the man is from the clan of Red Dragon King Constantine, known for his arrogance, and Leon replies that the red dragons he killed would be enough to circle the academy twice. The red-haired man turns to Rosweiss and wonders with a sneer how she, as queen, doesn't know how to raise her child, allowing him to bully other dragons. Leon gets into an altercation with a man who states that the Silver Dragon clan is not as strong as the Red Flame clan, and only incites young dragons to bully their children, to which Leon asks, "Ah? What did you say?" The angry man demands an apology to his son, threatening not to let them out, and Leon replies with a chuckle that his hands are itchy. A powerful palm strike crashes down on the table, accompanied by a loud cry of, "Shut up!" Provost Wilson asks parents to calm down and listen to his account of what happened. Provost Wilson begins to explain that last night in the cafeteria, Lal and two other students got into an argument with Noah, and Noah's plate hit Lal, soiling his clothes, which is seen in the flashback. The provost continues that on the way to the dormitory, 3 students blocked Noah in the backyard, where a violent physical confrontation ensued. The 3 beaten dragons look fearfully at the provost, who asks if they have anything to add, to which they reply in the negative. Noah, raising her hand, declares to the provost that she has something to add. Provost Wilson, turning to Noah, wonders if she has anything to add to the story. Noah begins to explain that first, Lal intentionally provoked her in the dining hall, and the tipped-over plate was an accident, and second, in the back of the dorm, they were the first to lunge at her and startle her, so she accidentally broke his arm in self-defense. With a piercing stare, Noah asks Lala if she's telling the truth. Lal, trembling with fear, confirms Noah's words, while his father is perplexed as to why his son is so afraid of her. Leon, with a thoughtful hand to his chin, tells Noah what he thinks she did wrong. Noah let out a quiet groan in annoyance, her gaze darkened. Leon advises Noah to hit the offender on the knee first the next time she is confronted, to which the girl curiously asks why the knee. Leon explains to Noah that the Red Flame clan suffered a knee injury on the battlefield and could only take hits, and Noah, taking notes, promises to pay attention next time. The red-haired man points angrily at Leon, accusing him in front of the provost of publicly teaching his daughter to abuse his child. He demands Noah's immediate expulsion for her violent tendencies, while Leon, Rosweiss, and Noah stand with serious faces. Provost Wilson, raising his hand, asks the parent to be patient, stating that the decision to expel the child will be made by the academy. He adds that many students reported that Lal often bullied some of the live-bearing dragons, and witnesses confirmed that Lal deliberately provoked Noah in the dining hall. The red-haired man screams in rage, not understanding why the academy doesn't punish Noah, and instead accuses his son of provocation. Leon gets into an argument, asking if it's embarrassing for a man to complain that his almost 8-year-old son was beaten by a 1-year-old girl, while the man resents that his son's age doesn't matter. Lal, with a bandaged hand and a bruised arm, tearfully admits that he is 7 years and 11 months old. Leon, covering his mouth with his hand, remarks with a chuckle that if he were Lal, he would dig a hole out of shame and bury himself so that this story would rot in his stomach. A red-haired man with a blazing red eye shouts angrily at Leon, calling him a coward who is afraid to even show his tail, and questioning how dare he talk about his son like that. The red-haired man, pointing at Rosweiss and Noah, declares that he considers their entire family insignificant. Leon's hand forcefully intercepts the red-haired man's perdition, making a crunching sound. Leon, wrenching the man's perdition, says angrily that the man may insult him, but he dare not point at his wife and children and curse them while the man screams in pain. Rosweiss, with a slight smile, notes to himself that Leon is very protective of his children. The red-haired man, his face contorted in pain, angrily questions Leon about how dare he attack him and whether he knows who he is. He declares himself Duke of the Red Flame clan, whose leader is Constantine, while Leon replies with a sneer that he's very scared, and Provost Wilson asks the Duke not to get angry because he's watching. Rosweiss looks at Leon in surprise, mouthing, "This parent." She continues, noting that this is just a small conflict between kids at school that affects the family status of both parties and won't do them any good. Rosweiss states to Provost Wilson that she believes the Academy's decision is fair and is willing to accept any outcome, to which the latter notes her foresight. Provost Wilson, addressing the red-haired man, warns that if he insists on causing trouble in the Academy and escalating the situation. Provost Wilson, holding the red-haired man back, warns that his children's status as students could then be revoked. Lal, with a bandaged arm and a bruise, asks his father to calm down, saying he still wants to attend the academy, much to his parents' surprise. The red-haired man, coughing and wiping his mouth with a handkerchief, admits he overreacted and accepts the academy's decision. Turning back to Leon and Rosweiss, he mentally decides not to draw attention for now, but promises to deal with them after graduation. Provost Wilson, looking away, concludes that in this case Lal was at fault first, and Noah acted in self-defense, albeit excessively. Noah, with a serious expression on her face, listens to the decision. She is to receive a verbal admonishment from the classroom teacher and seriously consider her behavior. The 3 delinquent students, including Lal, must write explanatory statements, submit them to the class teacher, and be responsible for the cleanliness of the classroom for a week. This is the final decision. Noah waves her hand and says she'll go to class then, and Leon and Rossweisse see her off with a look. Leon says, "Yeah, go." Leon, arms outstretched, shouts after Noah as she walks away, telling her that the next time someone dares to hurt her, the first thing she should do is kick them in the knees. Provost Wilson, with an expression of shock on his face, calls out to Leon, who also looks surprised. Leon, with a smile, asks Provost Wilson if he has anything else to say, suggesting that the latter may not have heard his earlier remark. Provost Wilson, looking at Leon, notes that although they had only met a few times, he always had a question, as Leon's tail was never visible. Internally, Leon panics, fearing that Provost Wilson has revealed his identity. Provost Wilson continues by saying that he cannot determine which noble dragon clan Leon is from, and asks if it is convenient to tell him. Rossweisse, hugging Leon's arm, explains to the provost with a smile that her husband is not a noble dragon, but just a commoner, and Leon confirms that he is a commoner. Provost Wilson, stroking his beard, concludes that it is a miracle that their union was able to produce such a talented dragon cub. With enthusiasm, Provost Wilson declares that St. Heath Academy welcomes such children and asks how many more children they plan to have, for the more the better, while Leon and Rossweisse listen in surprise. Coughing, Provost Wilson expresses his confidence that when Noah graduates, she can definitely lead the dragon clan and defeat more dragon slayers, to which Leon sarcastically thanks him. The red-haired man, Lal's father, looks on with a disgruntled look as Leon, Rossweisse, and Provost Wilson walk away down the academy corridor. The red-haired Duke of the Red Flame clan announces with a disdainful grin, let's go!" At the academy gates, Leon and Rossweisse descend a wide staircase. The Duke, accompanied by his son and another dragon, stops them, addressing the Silver Dragon Queen. Rossweisse, with obvious displeasure on his face, wonders if he has anything else to do. With a chuckle, the Duke explains that his agreement in the study was just a polite formality for the sake of the Academy's reputation. He states to Leon that now that they have left the Academy, they must resolve the conflict according to the customs of their dragon clan. The Duke of the Red Flame clan challenges Leon to a duel right here and now, while Rossweisse watches with arms crossed. Rossweisse ponders that refusing the duel will inevitably lead to rumors of the Silver Dragon clan's weakness and cowardice amidst the Whispering Dragons. A close-up of the Duke's face expresses confidence as he asks if they will refuse. Rossweisse asks Leon in a whisper if he's up for the challenge and how he's feeling. Leon, clenched fists and with a determined look, whispers that since the man himself asked for a fight, he should certainly do it. Rossweisse, standing by his side, allows him to act but asks him not to beat his opponent to death, to which Leon confidently replies that she shouldn't worry. 2 dragon boys in school uniforms run off, excitedly discussing the fight at the gate, while Noah, with book in hand, stares after them in surprise. A close-up of Noah's face, she anxiously wonders if it could be. A group of young dragons, including Noah, watch from the balcony below where a crowd has gathered, and one of them asks who is fighting who. The Duke of the Red Flame clan notes with disdain that this guy looks so frail he doesn't even show his tail, and there's nothing to fear but his outward coolness as Leon stretches. With a determined look, the Duke declares that his son lost the fight, and today he will beat Leon to help his son get justice. The Duke of the Red Flame clan, standing across from Leon, declares that they do not bully others, and if Leon lasts 3 rounds, he will lose. Leon, picking at his ear with mild irritation, asks him to stop talking nonsense. Pointing at the Duke, Leon announces the start of the duel while the latter angrily exclaims, "You!" The Duke of the Red Flame clan, with his face contorted with rage, shouts out that bullying a dragon is too much. With a cry of "Die!" the Duke brings his flaming fist down on Leon while he stands in a defensive stance. Leon, with a slight smirk and surrounded by flames from the attack, thinks this guy is much weaker than the dragons he's met on the battlefield. With a victorious smile and a V sign, Leon reminds Duke that there are 2 more rounds left. The Duke, with determination in his gaze, notes that Leon is good at dodging. With a "you're not a coward, are you?" the Duke unleashes a series of fiery spikes on the ground, which Leon dodges. Leon takes a high leap, dodging the fiery spikes rising from the split earth. The Duke of the Red Flame clan, with his face distorted with rage, spewed out a powerful stream of fire. A huge fireball released by the Duke rushes towards Leon, who is standing with his back to him. Leon, with a serious expression on his face, meets the fireball, his hand enveloped in flames. Leon deftly dodges the Duke's fiery attack, leaving a blue energy trail behind him. The Duke looks in amazement at Leon, who announces with a chuckle that it is now his turn. Leon's powerful leg kick lands on the Duke's stomach, causing him to cry out, "Ah!" Recoiling from the blow, the Duke shouts, "You!" with fury. Surrounded by a blue glow, Leon looks at the defeated Duke with a chuckle. A crushing blow from Leon's fist lands on the Duke's face, knocking him back. Duke flies back from the powerful blow, his body surrounded by a flash of energy. Shaking off his hands, Leon remarks with a chuckle that he hadn't even used magic against an opponent of this level. The Duke's two companions cry out in horror, "Ah! Lord Duke Lair!" Clenching his fist, Leon challenges the Duke's two companions to ask if they want to try. The Duke's two companions flail their arms in horror, refusing to be confronted further and uttering, "No! No!" Leon, standing back, points to the Duke being carried away and orders his companions to tell the Duke's son not to molest his daughter again. Turning around, Leon suggests with a smile that Rosweisa go back. A suddenly appearing Noah, holding a box, catches Leon's attention, who asks in surprise when she arrived. Noah, with big blue eyes, explains that she was just passing by and saw that there was something lively going on. Holding out the box to Rosweisa, Noah says, "This is for you," and Leon curiously asks what it is. Rosweisa looks inside the box and sees heart-shaped chocolate chip cookies. Noah, with a slight blush, explains that these are cookies their teacher taught them to make in cooking class, and they only came in second place, so they probably aren't very tasty, and asks them not to try them. Rosweisa, taking a bite of the cookie, protests with a smile that it's delicious and suggests Leon try some too. Leon, after taking a bite of the cookie, enthusiastically confirms that it is delicious and how a cookie made by his daughter could be tasteless, assuring that next time she will definitely take first place. Noah, with wide-open blue eyes, tells Leon, "You were just really amazing." Leon, with a slight blush, thinks in surprise, "Noah really praised me directly?" Amid the angels trumpeting their trumpets, Leon wonders excitedly if this means their relationship has grown closer. Laughing and putting his hand behind his head, Leon boastfully replies to Noah, "Haha, of course your daddy is very strong." Placing his hand on Noah's head, Leon suggests she turn to him if she wants to learn any fighting moves while Rosweisa looks on. A close-up of Rosweisa's eyes is shown. She is silently observing the scene, her thoughts hidden behind the many dots. Leon is sitting on the couch reading a book called The Encyclopedia of Dragon Parenting, 100 Ways to Connect with Your Baby. Hearing a knock on the door, Leon takes a break from reading, the hieroglyphics rendering the sound, knock, knock, knock. Rosweisa, wearing a white robe over black underwear and carrying a first aid kit in his hand, enters the room. Leon, sitting on the couch, asks Rosweisa in amazement why she is here. Leon is puzzled as to why Rosweisa sat down next to him, whether she is up to something new. Rosweisa, with a slight blush, asks Leon to give her a hand. A surprised Leon asks if she hurt her arm. Demonstrating the abrasions on his arm, Leon assures him that it's a trifling injury that will heal in a couple days. Rosweisa insists that he give her his hand honestly, and Leon embarrassingly complies. Rosweisa's graceful perambulations dip the applicator into a vial of dark, healing liquid. Leon hisses in pain as Rosweisa treats his wound, asking him not to move, for it will soon pass. He recalls that as a battle-hardened dragon slayer, he suffered many wounds that he usually treated carelessly. Rosweisa concentrates on applying the medicine, and Leon feels such careful care for the first time. The touch of Rosweisa's soft and warm palms, her slightly cool, perished hands, caused Leon to itch slightly at the wound treatment site. Leon, embarrassed and flushed, wonders what he's thinking. Rosweisa, with a slight blush and gratitude in her gaze, utters, "For today, thank you." Leon, embarrassed and surprised, interjects that she is thanking him for. Sitting on the couch, Rosweisa explains that Lala's father was being aggressive, and Leon stood up for her and Noah, even though they are strangers to each other. But in front of outsiders, Leon, coughing and blushing, says it's all for Noah. Rosweisa, with a slight chuckle and closed eyes, snorts, noting that she knew he was stubborn. In chibi style, Rosweisa informs Leon that her sister has invited their entire family to her place and wonders if he wants to go, to which he refuses, but after her offer to settle the previous issue, he panic-strickenly agrees. A huge white dragon with purple energy bursts flies towards a majestic castle against the background of the inscription, "Red Dragon Territory." The white dragon lands, raising clouds of dust and surrounded by energy discharges. Leon, holding the sleeping Moen in his arms and standing next to Noah, announces that they have arrived and asks Moen to wake up. Rosweisa's huge white dragon face approaches the red-haired woman, who exclaims joyfully, "Little Ross!" The red-haired woman, Aisha, with enthusiasm and hearts all around her, admires Rosweisa's dragon form, calling it awesome. A bright flash of purple energy accompanied Rosweisa's transformation back into human form. Aisha hugs a confused Rosweisa tightly, who complains about the tickle, and Aisha notices that the latter is still adorable. Snuggling up to Rosweisa, Aisha offers her sister a formal introduction to her husband and daughters. Roswisa introduces her husband, Leon Cosmod, who cheerfully greets Isha, and the latter is delighted to finally see him awake. With a smile, Roswisa introduces her daughters, Moen and Noah, who politely greet their aunt. Isha, hugging Moen, happily guesses the names of her nieces, noting that they are just as Roswisa described in the letter. With a smile, Isha asks little Noah if she wants to give her aunt a hug too. Noah, with a slight blush and a serious expression, reluctantly agrees. Well, okay. Isha enthusiastically hugs Moen and Noah, surrounded by hearts. A happy Isha exclaims how excited she is to be able to hug two little dragonesses at once. Isha turns to Leon, thanking him for his diligent care of the children that Roswisa told her about. Leon replies with a smile that it's not hard at all. He enjoys taking care of the kids and they are close to him. Roswisa, snuggling up to Leon, objects with surprise that the children are obviously closer to her, and Leon grinningly calls her a joker. Leon and Roswisa jokingly wrangle over who the kids are closer to, while Isha notices their good relationship with a smile. Leon and Roswisa, slightly embarrassed, avert their gazes and Leon mutters that it's okay. Isha, with a smile, motions for them to come inside, noting that they must be tired after their long journey. After dinner in the spacious hall, Isha, standing on the stairs, calls out to the girls, while Leon, Roswisa, Moen, and Noah relax on the couches. Isha, holding a photo album, asks Moen and Noah with a smile if they would like to see pictures of their mother as children. Moen enthusiastically stretches out his arm, shouting, "I want to see that," while Roswisa exclaims, "What?" in surprise. Isha, running off with the album, teases Roswisa, who demands to hand over the photos, noting that baby Ross seems embarrassed. A close-up shows Isha and Leon's eyes exchanging understanding looks as Roswisa tries to take the album away. Isha deftly dodges Roswisa, who tries to snatch the album, while Leon in the background happily reaches for it. Leon, album in hand, enthusiastically declares that there is nothing more humiliating than looking at childhood photos and asks to be shown her past, while Roswisa shouts, "Wait!" in a panic. Leon's face expresses extreme surprise as he opens the album and exclaims, "Ah! What's this?" And the album begins to glow. Roswisa asks in horror, "Whoa, what?" Looking at Leon, who, holding up a glowing album, remarks that he didn't expect this side of her, while Moen and Noah shout that they want to see it too. Leon, holding up a photo of young Roswisa in her school uniform, notes with a smile how energetic she was as a student, and explains that this is a photo of little Ross giving a speech as a representative of outstanding students. Young Roswisa, in her school uniform, with a book in her hand and a ponytail, stands confidently in the background of the schoolhouse. Leon, waving the photo around, teases Roswisa, asking how she got so cold now, and she cries out, "Ah!" Leon, with a smile, whispers to Isha not to get too carried away, or she might be the next target of her taunts, while Roswisa looks on in bewilderment. Isha, showing Moen and Noah a photo album, says there are lots of pictures of their mother as a baby in front, and they can look through, noting how soft and cuddly she was as a child. Moen and Noah are excited to look at pictures of little Roswisa, and Moen notes how small Mommy was, and Noah wants to touch her too. Leon and Moen join in the viewing, and Moen exclaims how beautiful Mom is in this picture, and Isha explains that it's a photo from the day Roswisa inherited the title of Silver Dragon Queen. In the photo, Roswisa, wearing a crown and royal attire, sits majestically on a throne. Leon looks at Roswisa and admiringly notes how cool she is, to which she snorts. Moen and Noah, upon reaching the last page, disappointedly ask if that's really all there is to it, because Moen wants to see more pictures of his mother. Roswisa, picking up the album, says that since they're done watching, she can take it back and keep it. Isha, holding the glowing orb, informs them with a smile that this isn't the end, and asks if they know what it is, while Roswisa, in chibi form, shouts, "Sister!" in a panic. Leon, chibi style, raises his hand and excitedly exclaims that he knows. It's a recording stone! Isha, in her chibi uniform, playfully asks Moen and Noah if they want to watch their mother's video, and the girls excitedly shout, "I want to see it!" Roswisa, embarrassed, begs her sister, for the sake of their kinship bond, not to show what's inside. Leon, arms folded in supplication, asks Isha, for his sake, her brother-in-law, to show the contents, suspecting there are compromising videos in there since Roswisa is so resistant. Isha, with a sly smile and a glowing orb in her hand, addresses her sister affectionately, while Leon and Roswisa look on. With a wink, Isha offers a compromise. Since this is Leon's first time visiting them, they'll listen to him this time and little Ross next time. Leon excitedly exclaims, "Oh, yes," while Roswisa, clenching his teeth, angrily declares that he will never bring him here again. Ishi's hand activates a glowing blue sphere that emits a distinctive sound. The sphere projects a large holographic image into the living room, and Isha announces that it is a very valuable video. Roswisa, wide-eyed with horror, recognizes the spot in the video and exclaims, "This is the spot!" In a panic, Rosweisa covers Leon's eyes with her hand, yelling at him not to look, to which he asks in surprise, "Wait, what?" In the holographic video, young Rosweisa sits by the water in her school uniform, and Isha asks off-screen about her criteria for choosing a partner, while Rosweisa embarrassingly asks her sister to stop filming. A close-up of young Rosweisa's face as she, blushing, enumerates that, for one thing, this man's grades should be better than hers, and it would be ideal if he took a lot of first places. Moen and Noah chibi-style listen as young Rosweisa adds in the video that he should be responsible and not hate kids, and Moen asks if mom is talking about dad. Young Rosweisa continues in the video that he should be strong but not hurt the weak, have his own code of conduct and not be influenced by his species or the outside world, while Leon, who Rosweisa clamps his mouth over, thinks it's definitely him, and Rosweisa exclaims, "Bah, have you any shame?" Isha comments with an understanding smile that these 3 points are difficult, especially the last one, because many people lose themselves by gaining power and authority. In the video, young Rosweis is seen looking at the moon and says that if such a man doesn't exist, she doesn't want to force herself to get married. With a dreamy smile, young Rosweis is seen in the video declaring that if she ever marries, it will only be to a man like this. Leon, with a surprised and touched expression on his face, looks at the video. A close-up of Leon's eye reflects his thought, that I am the perfect person in your mind. Rosweisa, laughing, waves it off, saying it was just something she said when she was younger, and Leon, with slight irritation, replies that he understands and she doesn't need to be so embarrassed. Isha, with a sly smile, wonders which one of them started courting first. Leon and Rosweisa, simultaneously pointing at each other, exclaim, he started chasing me first." Rosweisa, with eyes blazing purple with anger, orders Leon threateningly, "Try saying that again." Leon, with a nervous smile, explains that Rosweis was the first to start chasing him, but he ignored her and then took pity and started courting her himself, to which she nods in agreement. Isha remarks with a smile that they have a good relationship, as expected, while Leon and Rosweisa in Chibi form deny it. Isha offers to read the love letters Rosweisa has received in the past, causing Leon and the girls to marvel, and Rosweisa to panic and question why her sister keeps them. Rosweisa screams in rage for Isha to burn those letters, with the night castle in the background. Leon whispers to Rosweisa that there's no other way out, they'll have to share a room, even though he doesn't want to. A luxurious spooge with a large bed adorned with heart-shaped rose petals and a pool prompts Leon to ask, is going on? Leon and Rosweisa, with blank eyes and open mouths, stand in shock at what they see. Leon, covering his eyes with his hand, asks Isha bewilderedly what is happening to this luxurious room, while Rosweisa stands nearby. Isha, with a wink, explains that she has specially prepared this guest room for them for the next 2 days. Rosweisa looks away embarrassed, wondering if there are other rooms, and Isha asks with a chuckle if she's shy. Leon, standing between the two women, thinks with a serious look that he was careless and she should not be underestimated. Isha, looking at the miniature figures of Leon and Rosweisa, reflects that she wanted to lock up these two endangered species, wait for them to heat, breed, and complete the task of revitalizing the race. Clutching his head, Leon screams in panic that he wants to get out of here. Isha appeared behind Leon, wondering with icy calmness where he was going, brother-in-law. Leon, with a nervous smile, tries to justify himself by saying that his daughters must miss him, and he will go and visit them, to which Isha replies that she has taken care of the children by preparing another room for them where they are having a great time. Moen and Noah, in smart dresses, are sitting at a table putting together a puzzle in their room. Isha, with a sly smile, wishes Leon and Rosweisa, standing in the doorway, a good rest. Chibi Leon and Chibi Rosweisa stand with disgruntled faces, surrounded by blue wavy lines symbolizing their awkwardness or tension. Leon, looking at Rosweisa entering the room, remarks that they seem to have no choice but to sleep here tonight and didn't expect her sister to be so conniving. Rosweisa, opening a closet full of revealing lingerie and outfits, replies that her sister is always like this, and he'll realize it after spending more time with her. Slamming the door forcefully shut, Rosweisa, whose tail is wrapped around the leg of a surprised Chibi Leon, decides they'll have to sleep together. Looking around the room, Rosweisa declares that there is only a bed and a bathtub and suggests that Leon sleep in the tub. Leon, sitting on the edge of the tub, indignantly asks why he has to sleep in the tub. Rosweisa explains that she checked and found the tub drain blocked, and her sister is clearly determined to have them spooge in the same bed while the tub is filled with hot water and petals. Leon, touching the bed, is surprised to note that it is slightly different than usual. With a look of shock on his face, Leon realizes it's a waterbed, and Chibi Isha winks in the background. Leon, reclining on the petal-strewn waterbed, exclaims with delight at how bouncy she is while Rosweisa stares at him silently. Rosweise, standing in front of Leon, declares that she will not allow him to enjoy such a comfortable bed alone and offers to sleep together. Leon is perplexed, asking why she's suddenly changed her mind and if she's plotting something unkind against him. Rosweise, clenched fists and with an expression of impatience, asks him whether he will sleep or not. Surrounded by flames and holding a whip, Rosweise with a sinister smile offers to play with all the toys in the closet tonight, while little Chibi Leon grimly refuses. Rosweise, turning away and heading for the bathroom, says she's going to take a shower first and asks Leon not to peek, to which he replies with annoyance why he would. Leon, in chibi form, flies out of the room when Rosweise, not believing him, orders him to go out for a bit and come back later. Left alone, Leon puts his hands behind his head, thinking dismissively that it's not that he hasn't seen her before, he's just sick of it. A close-up of Leon's face expresses sudden surprise as he utters, "Huh?" Isha appears on the balcony in a red dress with a glass in her hand, saying, "Oh?" Isha, standing on the balcony by the drinks table, asks Leon why he's out and where baby Ross is, while he, walking over to her, replies that she's taking a shower and he's out for some fresh air. Aisha, holding a bottle of wine against the night sky and full moon, offers Leon a drink with her with a smile. Leon, smiling, eagerly agrees while Isha's hand places the glass on the table. Pouring red wine into 2 glasses, Isha explains that this is the wine little Ross usually likes to drink. Leon thanks Aisha, accepting the wine glass from her. Isha remembers how she and Rosweise used to drink and chat here sometimes, and Leon notes their good relationship. Fondly, Isha says that she has watched Rosweise grow up for the past 50 years, and after she became queen and left, they exchanged letters. And over a year ago, Rosweise announced her marriage and pregnancy. Aisha's hand holds one of Rosweise's letters, and she notes that although her sister is married, there was a sense of sadness in her letters. Isha recalls Rosweise writing that Leon is not in good health, sleeps long and can't be with her, amid images of a pregnant Rosweise and a sleeping Leon. Leon, with a serious expression on his face, reflects that Rosweise, forced to carry the child of her nemesis, spent her pregnancy alone, and could only write letters to her sister to pour out her sorrow, must be living a miserable life. Aisha laughingly admits that she thought at the time that she thought Rosweise had married an irresponsible, lazy, and useless male dragon, making Leon wince. Leon, laughing embarrassedly, asks Aisha if he really looks like such a dragon. Isha, with a sly look, notices that after briefly interacting with Leon tonight, he really doesn't seem like trash, and perhaps there's a reason for that. Aisha goes on to say that it also makes her more confident that baby Ross loves Leon while he's drinking wine. Leon, with a glass of wine in his hand, exclaims, in surprise upon hearing Isha's words. The image of Rosweise arises in his mind, and he thinks perplexedly, "Rosweise, does she loves me?" Leon, waving away, mentally exclaimed, go away, just think about it, it's impossible, how could that evil dragoness love me?" Isha wonders with a chuckle if Leon is embarrassed, noting that he doesn't know her sister at all. Leon, averting his gaze, thinks that yet he still has to pretend to be in love in front of her sister. With a fake laugh, Leon turns to Isha. "Ah ha 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 ha. Sister, you're right, we are in love with each other." Isha, Chibi style, with a glass of wine, says she can judge that by how they get along with each other, while Chibi Leon smiles embarrassedly. Aisha notices that little Ross doesn't express her feelings very well, and Leon is the first dragon other than her that Rosweise acts like this with. With a blazing stare, Isha reminds Leon that he's a responsible man, and knows what to do in the future without waiting for her instructions, while Chibi Leon thinks she'll kill him if he says he doesn't know. Leon, looking at Isha, assures her that she can be calm and trust him with her little sister, regretting that he couldn't take care of her during her first pregnancy, but promises to do so if there is a second child. Placing his hand on his chest, Leon vows with determination that he will protect his wife and children until the day he dies. Aisha, with a sly smile, snorts and says he better really be. Pushing Leon away, Aisha tells him to stop bragging and get back quickly, so little Ross isn't waiting in alarm. Leon, with a serious expression on his face, says, "Oh, right," while Isha stands behind him with a glass. Turning around, Leon curiously asks Aisha if there's anything else. Isha, covering her mouth with her hand and with a sly smile, advises Leon not to hold back tonight, because the soundproofing in that room is very good. Leon, with an expression of shock and bewilderment on his face, repeats, "Good soundproofing against the purple pattern." Leon is Chibi style, lips pressed together and blushing, with an exclamation point above his head, expressing extreme embarrassment. Against a background of a night castle and a full moon, the words, "A big thank you," appear, accompanied by sound effects. Through the ajar door, the edge of the bed in the semi-dark room could be seen, foreshadowing secret surveillance. Leon cautiously peeks into the spoogibbon, where Rosweise sleeps on a large bed, with a round bathtub visible nearby. Perched on the edge of the bed, Leon looks at the sleeping Rosweise and quietly asks if she has fallen asleep. With a slight smile, Leon thinks himself lucky to escape her company this night, recognizing that she is very beautiful in her sleep despite their feud. Peacefully sleeping, Rosweise lies under the blanket, her silver hair spread across the pillow. A close-up of Leon's face expresses sudden surprise as he utters, "Huh?" Noticing a bright purple glow emanating from the sleeping Rosweise's chest, Leon is perplexed as to why she is glowing. Clutching his head in horror, Leon suggests that perhaps the dragon pattern has activated. Leon looks at his chest in bewilderment, noting that his dragon pattern does not resonate, and wonders what is going on. Lifting the blanket, he finds Rosweise holding a small glowing object with a smiling face in her hand. Rosweise opens her eyes and greets Leon with a smile as she continues to hold the glowing toy. "Chibi style!" Leon screams in horror at Rosweise, questioning why the hell she's hiding a light bulb under a blanket and how she scared him. Rosweise, in her nightgown, explains that she found this glowing toy in the closet, found it interesting, and brought it to amuse him. With a sly smile, Rosweise wondered if, judging by his reaction, he wasn't sorry it wasn't what he thought it was. Leon, blushing and averting his gaze, embarrassedly denied it. "No!" Chibi style, Rosweise declares that she's going to sleep and asks not to be disturbed while Leon looks up from under the covers in annoyance and she laughs. Sitting up in bed and holding a glowing toy, Rosweise warns Leon not to regret and nudge her in the middle of the night. A close-up of the sleeve of Rosweise's lilac nightgown is shown, emphasizing its elegance. Rosweise, in a lilac nightgown, looks bewildered at the large black spider descending from above. Rosweise's face contorts in horror at the sight of the spider approaching her. She utters, Leon, hearing the scream, jumps up from the bed, asking what happened against the red canopy. A startled Rosweise throws herself into Leon's arms, who looks at her bewildered. Cuddled up to Leon, Rosweise tearfully and in a shaky voice informs him that there's a spider in there. Leon recalls seeing little Rosweise crying with fright next to the spider while looking through a photo album and assumes it is her childhood trauma. With a sly chuckle, Leon thinks that it turns out that the Silver Dragon Queen is afraid of something too. Leon, with a smile, tells Rosweise that she really can't do anything without him and offers to help catch the spider while she rushes him. Leon's hand in his white shirt covers a large black spider. He utters, "Huh?" Leon, holding the spider in his hands, ponders with wonder if it could be a... Leon, holding a toy spider, reassures Rosweise, telling her it's just a toy and nothing to be afraid of while she cries out in terror. Rosweise, with blazing eyes and purple energy in his hand, angrily orders the spider to be destroyed, whether it's real or not. Leon, with a purple glow on his back, tries to calm Rosweise by promising to throw the spider outside. A toy spider flies out the window as if gaining freedom against the night sky. Leon, with a smile, informs Rosweise, who embarrassingly covers her breasts, that the spider has been dealt with and we can go to bed. A close-up of Leon's face, he suggests that this spider must be part of her sister's plan too. Rosweise, with a sly smile and a slight blush, utters, confirming his hunch that his sister wanted to show her scared and vulnerable. Sitting on the bed, Rosweise suggests that Leon sleep outside and she will sleep inside. Leon, with a smile, replies that there's no problem and she can sleep wherever she wants. Leon and Rosweise are lying in the same bed under a blanket, looking in different directions, a dotted line above them symbolizing awkwardness. Leon, lying in bed next to Rosweise, offers to hold his hand if she's still scared. A close-up of Rosweise's eyes is shown. She looks at Leon with surprise and slight embarrassment. Rosweise, averting her gaze and blushing slightly, snorts, "Since you say so." Rosweise's hand gently touches Leon's arm, their dead bodies almost touching. Leon asks bewilderedly how anyone can feel safe with only a pinky finger to hold onto, and how he can hold her. Leon's hand decisively covers Rosweise's arm, their dead bodies intertwined. With a slight chuckle, Leon corrects Rosweise. "Silly, hold it like this," showing her how to hold her hand properly. Leon and Rosweise are lying in bed holding hands and looking at each other with different expressions. Rosweise, eyes closed and blushing, is perplexed as to how this man can hold her hand so nonchalantly, and is she not the only one who feels awkward? In chibi style, the two Rosweise, embarrassed and angry, convince themselves that she, the queen of the silver dragons, is responsible for her actions, and there is no shame in simply holding hands. Leon asks Rosweise why her hands are always so cold, and she replies that she was born with a cold body, and wonders if he's nervous since he has sweaty palms, to which he replies that she is. A close-up of Rosweise's face, she thinks Leon's hands had calluses and tiny scars from years of holding a sword. They were a little rough but very warm. Their intertwined parishes are shown in close-up, and Rosweise thinks it's as if an electric current has run through the place where they touch. Rosweise's face with a slight blush and a pensive expression, she stares silently, a dotted line above her. Leon, looking at the night sky outside the window, asks Rosweisa about her criteria for choosing a man mentioned earlier, to which she replies that that was a long time ago and she has no standards now. Rosweisa and Leon are lying in bed under the same blanket, their eyes closed. They look peaceful. Chibi-style Leon, with eyes wide open and hands at his cheeks, exclaims that he can't sleep at all. Leon, lying in bed, looks at the sleeping Rosweisa and wonders if she has fallen asleep. A close-up of their intertwined hands is shown, and Leon thinks his fallen men are a little numb from being in one position for so long, and it's probably possible to move them discreetly. Rosweisa, with closed eyes and a slight blush, thinks this guy, if he wants to, let him just hold her hands. Why is he touching her? Rosweisa looks reproachfully at Leon, mentally resenting how the captive dares to touch his mistress. Determined to return the favor, Rosweisa reaches under the blanket for Leon. Leon's face contorts from the sudden sensation accompanied by a bright flash. Leon, lying next to a sleeping Rosweisa, is perplexed as to why her hand keeps touching his. Their perished bodies intertwine under the blanket, and Leon notes how soft her body is and how ticklish their touch is. As he approaches Rosweisa, Leon feels a strange, wild sense of hunger growing in his heart. A close-up of their faces is shown, and Leon admits to himself that he really wants to. Looking at Rosweisa, Leon realizes his strong desire to do something more. Their faces are very close, their gazes full of tension and embarrassment. Leon hovered over Rosweisa, their bodies almost touching, foreshadowing the closeness. Today night only! Leon and Rosweisa, with a blush on their cheeks, ready to merge in a kiss. Leon finds himself on top of Rosweisa on the large bed, her tail wrapped around him. Lying beneath him, Rosweisa says his name with a slight blush and a languid look. Leon. Leon, embarrassed and with a gentle smile, answers her with a quiet, Their faces come closer for a kiss, and the text explains that the dragon mark does not react when two experience the purest mutual appreciation and desire. Leon and Rosweisa's lips almost touch in anticipation of a tender kiss. Leon's hand rests on the pillow next to Rosweisa's head, their closeness peaking. Suddenly, a large toy spider descends on a string between their faces, interrupting the intimate moment. Aisha's gloating laughter echoes outside the window of the luxurious mansion as she shouts, "Don't be afraid, I got him! Don't let the dragon flame out!" Aisha, with a sly smile and a full moon in the background, wonders if it's time for them to discover the surprise she's prepared. Leon gently hugs Rosweisa, who snuggles up to him and reassures her, telling her it's okay. A toy spider surrounded by hearts is shown against the backdrop of a blooming garden, and Leon mentally notes that he has checked everything thoroughly, and there are no other mechanisms. They are alone. Leon, with a slight blush and his eyes closed, continues to embrace Rosweisa, who snuggles against his chest, and the sounds of their rapid heartbeats can be heard. Rosweisa, snuggled up to Leon and looking at him, is embarrassed to notice that his heart is beating so fast. A close-up of Leon's face, he confesses, embarrassed that he too is afraid of spiders. Rosweisa, with eyes closed and blushing, whispers that she won't do anything like that to him again. Leon, hugging Rosweisa, who snuggles up to him, asks her not to mention it after tonight, and she quietly agrees. Sunlight floods the room through a large window with red curtains, heralding morning. Rosweisa, lying in bed, opens her eyes abruptly, her gaze full of surprise and an exclamation mark. Sitting on a large bed with a red canopy, Rosweisa perplexedly asks herself when she fell asleep. Rosweisa, waking up in bed, is perplexed as to why this guy woke up so early. Stretching, she thinks it's for the best, since her legs are slightly exposed. With a slight blush, Rosweisa admits to herself that she doesn't know how to look him in the eye after last night. Getting out of bed, she notes that this is the first time she's broken her own rules, her tail curving gracefully. Dressed in her usual dress, Rosweisa is embarrassed to think that she has shown her weakness to a man and fallen asleep in his arms. With a determined look, she concludes that this is so embarrassing, and she will never tell anyone about this when she opens the door. Aisha, standing in the doorway, asks Rosweisa if she's awake. With a sly smile, Isha wondered how her night had gone and if it had been exciting. "Chibi style!" Rosweisa exclaims angrily that it was very exciting, and not to let Isha do that again while she listens with a chuckle. Isha, covering her mouth with her hand, curiously asks if they used the toys she prepared, to which Rosweisa embarrassedly replies, "No." Aisha smilingly regrets that they didn't use the toys and offers to pack them for Rosweisa to practice, wondering in passing when she will have another child for her red dragon castle. Rosweisa, waving away embarrassedly, takes her sister out to breakfast, asking her not to worry about such things. In the dining room of Red Dragon Castle, Leon sits at the table with Moen on his lap, who laughs merrily while Noah reads a book and a maid carries their breakfast. Leon, with a gentle smile, playfully squeezes the cheeks of a laughing Moen sitting on his lap. Moen, seeing Rosweisa and Isha enter accompanied by the maid, joyfully announces that mother and aunt have come. With a cry of, "It's time to eat!" Muen jumps off Leon's lap, rushing towards the set table. The whole family, Leon, Rossweisse, Aisha, Muen, and Noah, are seated around a large dining table laden with a variety of dishes. Sitting next to each other at the table, Leon and Rossweisse feel awkward, staring intently at their plates as they eat. Close-up of Leon's face, he's eating embarrassedly, contemplating how awkward the situation is. A vivid memory of the previous night pops into Leon's mind when he gave in to the atmosphere and almost kissed Rossweisse and fell asleep with his arms around her, causing him great embarrassment. Leon's internal conflict is presented as an angel and a demon arguing. The angel rebukes his betrayal for getting closer to the enemy, while the demon objects that they are husband and wife and have already taken the next step. As the angel and demon continue their scuffle in the cloud above his head, Leon, taking a bite of bread, notices that it's a bit unleavened. Determined to improve the flavor, Leon reaches for the jar of peanut butter, intending to add it to his breakfast. Rossweisse's hand suddenly covers Leon's arm as he reaches for the peanut butter, their dead bodies touching over the table. Leon and Rossweisse, both surprised by this accidental touch, simultaneously say, "Huh?" while looking at each other.